Chapter 462. This? Fangzi, come on. Are you stupid? This is a rare opportunity. Sister-in-law has made such a big sacrifice. Why are you still hesitating? Yes. Fangzi, why are you acting like a woman? Come on. Chang Chumo and the others did not dare to speak loudly. They could only lower their heads and urge Zhang Feng behind. Zhang Feng knew that sooner or later, there would be such a day. Okay, Miss Jingshu, please. After Zhang Feng made a gesture of invitation, Jingshu's maid brought up a guzheng, an incense burner, a stool, and a table. Jingshu sat opposite Zhang Feng and bowed slightly as a salute. At this time, after knowing that the first beauty of Chang and Jingshu had come to the gate of the academy like crazy. Even if they tiptoed, they were still watching. Even the patrolling soldiers stopped to watch from time to time. Ding! Jingshu's jade-like hand gently plucked the strings of the guzheng. Then she closed her eyes. Zhang Feng took a deep breath and signaled Chang Chumo to borrow a folding fan from a Confucian scholar not far away. He opened it with a pa sound and then walked slowly with one hand behind his back. Although Zhang Feng did not know anything, he thought that this thing was similar to the poetry recitation in school, which was accompanied by music. The Han dynasty will decline and become a barbarian. War will be frequent. Mourning for my parents who gave birth to me. Seeing the chaos of separation at this time, the screen window and the mirror will not be affected. They will say that the bead curtain can cover them. Once the invaders entered China, they met the barbarians everywhere. Suddenly, the life of a general is poor, but the beauty follows the invaders. As Zhang Feng's yin and yang voice sounded, everyone on the streets of Chang and fell into a dead silence. Even Li Shimin, Li Yuan, and the others, who were watching from the top of the city gate tower, could not help but slowly fall into that kind of mood after hearing the tune and the guzheng music. What is this? This was the complete version of Huga's 18 beats. The complete version of Huga's 18 beats created by Kai Wenji. As the 18 songs were slowly played, everyone finally thought of a fact. Zhang Feng might really be the person who solved the 18 beats of Huga. Otherwise, why would Jingshu come here? Would he be willing to lower himself to support Zhang Feng? Who is he? At this time, all the students and Confucians felt a chill in their hearts. Who didn't like beauties? Moreover, she was a talented girl like Jingshu, who was famous for her talent in Chang'e. Previously, when they heard that the Zheng song had been solved, everyone mistook it as a rumor. But now, it was just one song. The scene was still deathly silent. Xiaozai looked at the time and cupped his hands. Jingshu's zither song really brought out the essence of Kai Wenji. This song was extremely good. This way, please. At this time, Sun Yushan took a deep breath, cupped his hands, and left. Although there were still many doubts, no one could find the 18 beats of Huga's 18 beats in a second place. Otherwise, why would those great Confucians be so useless? After Sun Yushan left, the ceremony went smoothly. No one came to cause trouble. Everyone knew about the incident. Now that they saw the real person, who would dare to cause trouble? Moreover, the stubborn people in Chang and city knew each other. Although some of them hid their identities, they still remembered Chang Chumo and the others. Damn it! If they could squat behind that person and pretend to be his grandson, how could that person be simple? But what kind of background did he have to be able to make so many people circle around him like this? No one knew. Zhang Feng's identity could not help but become mysterious. At this time, when the plaque covered by the red cloth was uncovered, the great Confucians became even more uneasy. They saw that the plaque was written by Yu Shernan and the other great Confucians. How could it be fake? What did that mean? If this was all fake, then he would have been locked up by the bailiffs who were waiting outside. How could he still strut around here? Since there was an inscription by Yu Shernan, Chu Suiliang, and the others, it meant that Zhang Feng's identity was recognized. If there was an inscription by 4 great Confucians, and there was a great Confucian following him, he was already a great Confucian. This was the elaborate etiquette of a Confucian scholar. You either had to have a masterpiece or something amazing. You had to find at least 3 great Confucian scholars to vouch for you. Although the 4 great Confucian scholars didn't come, their personal inscriptions were all here. What did that mean? After paying respects to Confucius and Meng Qi and other things were done, Zhang Feng finally began to read the rules of admission. Fellow Confucians, students, and people of Chang'an City, today, I, Zhang Feng, am able to open an academy in Chang'an City because of your help. But this country has its laws, and every family has its rules. This academy will naturally have its own rules. Now, I will talk about the specific rules of the Chang'an Academy. First, our academy will set up a military Confucian religion and basic teaching rules such as mathematics. We will not force you to memorize. Of course, you must learn the teachings of Confucius and Mencius. This is the criteria for entering the academy. Second, our academy will only recruit monsters. If you are arrogant, we will not recruit those who are treacherous or have ulterior motives. As long as you want to learn, even if you are a stubborn rock, I, Zhang Feng, have the ability to teach you. After speaking for nearly 4 hours, Zhang Feng finally finalized this matter. The number of people temporarily was only 5, including Li Qian. If there were more, he would not be able to handle it. Why? He just had to wait for these 5 free laborers to be trained this year. Next year, he could really be a hands-off shopkeeper. Let him teach them one by one, then go *CK yourself. If Li Qian and the others wanted to graduate, it was fine. At least, each of them had to train 50 people who were not too far behind them to take over. Otherwise, once they left, what would happen to the academy? Chapter 463. At this time, the opening of Zhang Feng's academy was over, but in Chang'an City, people were still talking about it. Why? Because of that plaque and that person, and that weird teaching philosophy that was completely different from the Imperial College and other academies. And more importantly, this guy only recruited 5 people this year? What kind of rule was that? Obviously, he left a fat job waiting for people to come and take advantage of it. Was this something a great scholar could do? But fortunately, everyone could be sure of one thing. This academy would basically be managed by the old scholar in the future. That was enough. Although not many people knew about Zhang Feng in Chang'an City, there were still people who knew about him. However, the old Xiaocai was different. He was also famous in Chang'an City. Although Zhang Feng looked and his teaching philosophy was somewhat unreliable, this kind of person could still trust the old scholar. On top of the city gate, Li Yuan looked at the slowly dispersing crowd and chuckled as he said, "This brat is really unexpected. By the way, Shimin, whose idea was it to open an academy? I don't think this is Zhang Feng's idea. This is my idea." Li Yuan suddenly understood. He laughed and said, "Let's go. Now that everyone is gone, let's go to the academy and let this guy make a real barbecue for me. This half-baked barbecue is making me angry." Yes, what could they say? At this time, they could only follow behind Li Yuan, and the Imperial Guards and the Jinwu Guards were all scattered at this moment. Those irrelevant people were basically cleared out of the area of Kaihua Square. Only the people who lived here for a long time and the vendors made sure that no one knew the emperor and the others did they stop. As for the old scholar, just now, he went out with several great scholars. No one knew what he was doing. This way, he could avoid bumping into Li Yuan. After all, if Li Yuan could know him, the old scholar would definitely know Li Yuan too. When Li Yuan and others walked into the academy, they happened to see Zhang Feng instructing the crown prince and others to do work. This scene made Chang Yaojin and the others behind Li Yuan and Li Shimin involuntarily drop their eyeballs to the ground. Li Chengqian was holding a broom and sweeping the fallen leaves on the ground of the academy with all his might. Du Go was pulling weeds with his bare hands. Wei Shuyu was cleaning the things on the roof tiles. Basically, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that she was flipping the roof. As for Zhang Sun, he was holding a piece of cloth and washing the floor of the academy. "This, Your Majesty, would you like this servant to send someone to do it?" "No need. This is great. These fellows usually lived like princes, so it was normal for them to suffer a little at this time. Why would they need help?" "Zhang Feng, you've done well." Li Yuan decisively refused. Empress Zhangsun and the others couldn't help but smile when they saw the ugly expressions on Li Chengqian and the others' faces. "Is that the Zhang Feng that second brother mentioned?" Empress Zhang's son pointed at Zhang Feng, who was sitting on a chair and fanning himself wildly. Yes, he's Zhang Feng. It's really weird. Ha ha ha. If he's not weird, then he wouldn't be Zhang Feng. Li Yuan laughed loudly. Li Yuan's voice was heard by the few people in the academy. They glanced at the attire of Li Yuan and the others, stood up and gave a scholarly greeting. Then they continued to work. Although their expressions were ugly, this group of fearless brats actually followed Zhang Feng's instructions and continued to work. This made the eyes of Li Yuan and the others brighten. Yo, old master, you've come personally. Lao Li, Lao Sun, Lao Chun, Lao Wei, Lao Du, Lao Fong, why are you all here? Go, 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 let's go to the tavern. There's nothing here. Let's go to the tavern. We'll treat today. Ha ha ha. Good, good, good. Brat, you're not bad. These few brats are all pampered at home. Moreover, they're those lawless guys. Old man, I really don't know what kind of ability you used to make these lawless guys so obedient. Hey, this isn't a difficult thing. Zhang Feng waved his hand and said, to forge iron, one needs to be strong. If they can't even do this well, then they can forget about it after 3 years. They don't need to do anything else. They can just go back home and inherit your inheritance. They're just waiting for death. If such people go out, they'll only bring harm to others. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Li Yuan laughed loudly again. Looks like you want to be a hands-off shopkeeper again? Zhang Feng was anxious. When did I? Oh right. Lao Li. This is... Zhang Feng hurriedly changed the topic and looked at Zhang Sun and Wu Go. This is my wife. Hello? Sister-in-law. Sister-in-law? When everyone heard this, their faces turned green. What kind of address was this? Daring to call the Empress sister-in-law? You, Zhang Feng, are really the first person. But Li Shimin didn't care. Zhang Sun and Wu Go covered her mouth and smiled. She waved her hand and said, I've heard about you, Qian and my husband before. Seeing you today, you're really a talent. You flatter me. Let's go. Don't stand there. Let's go to the tavern. Let's talk while we eat. At this moment, Jingshu's voice sounded behind everyone. Can go too? Chapter 464. Inside the small tavern, Xiao Gizi and the others had already cleaned up the place. After knowing that they were coming to the tavern, little Gizi called the fat imperial chef, Zhou Dafu, to personally cut the meat and other things. He also found some fresh vegetables and fruits. When Zhang Feng entered the small tavern and saw the table full of prepared dishes, he was stunned. The fish was sliced into pieces. The beef and mutton were all cut according to the rules, without any excess. Chicken wings, duck legs, and chicken hearts were neatly placed on the plates. Seeing that everyone had entered the room, Zhou Dafu stood respectfully at the door. Zhang Feng was so scared that he thought he had entered the wrong place. This little fatty, Lao Li, don't tell him he's your man. What a coincidence, he's really my man. Didn't you promise me to find a chef to learn from? Qian doesn't have time, so I brought him here today. How about you take a look at his knife skills? Knife skills? Awesome. Zhang Feng gave a thumbs up. Such awesome knife skills. Even he would blush if he saw it. Luckily, he didn't prepare it himself, otherwise, he would be laughed at by the old man. All right, since you're here, Lao Li has told you the rules, right? Young master. The master has explained it clearly. What's your name? Zhou Dafu. Hey. Zhang Feng was stunned. He looked at Zhou Dafu and asked again. Tell me, what's your name? I'm Zhou Dafu, from Jingzhou. Fu, as in Fu. My parents said that this name is festive. Zhang Feng was happy when he heard it. Not bad. This name is festive and has a bright future. This name was more than festive. How similar was it to Zhou Dafu? Come. Since you're all ready, I'll show you my incompetence. Today's barbecue or what to eat? The old man has the final say. Really? Forget it, I'll make you guys a spicy fish with pickled cabbage. Otherwise, if you keep making things difficult for me, won't I cry to death? Everyone burst into laughter. Zhang Feng took off his Confucian robe and entered the kitchen. Jingshu followed him into the kitchen as if she was the hostess of the tavern. While they were talking, she had already filled their cups with tea. Zhang Feng wanted to say something, but he didn't say anything. It wasn't that he didn't want to say it, but there was a third wheel by his mother's side. What could he say? As soon as Zhang Feng went to the stove, Jingshu consciously set up the pot. Although it seemed that she had never suffered before, she still stubbornly added firewood. Miss Jingshu, do you want to go to the tavern? It's all right, Prince Zhang. You do what you need to do. I'm fine here. Then why don't you just stand there and watch? If I do anything wrong, can you give me some pointers? Who's that? Fatty, you really don't have any eyesight. Don't just stand there. Set up the fire and start the pot. Oh. Zhou Dafu was really a blockhead. Seeing this, Zhang Feng wanted to beat him up. But he didn't know if this guy was really stupid or just pretending to be stupid. Zhang Feng didn't care much about him. Zhang Feng looked at Jingshu and said, Miss Jingshu, why don't you go out first? The smell of smoke in this place is too strong. I'm fine. Prince Zhang can do what he needs to do. Alas, that's fine. Zhang Feng didn't say much. Jingshu, who had fished out 2 carps from the water tank, couldn't help but have a strange look in her eyes. She secretly glanced at the people outside the curtain. She couldn't help but have a deep doubt in her eyes. What was the relationship between Zhang Feng and these people? These people were the people who could shake the Tang dynasty with a stomp of their feet. But they seemed to know what happened today, and they didn't say much. This was not right. Did Prince Zhang really not know the situation of these people, or? Jingshu didn't dare to think about it. Because this man was the man who would spend the rest of his life with her. Every man in Chang and city couldn't take a step away from her when they saw her. But Zhang Feng was different. He always looked at her with an equal gaze, without a trace of greed or filth. This feeling was very subtle, especially when she saw Zhang Feng handling the fish seriously. He was so focused. When Jingshu's eyes fell on a bamboo tube on the chopping board, she asked softly, Prince Zhang, is this the rumored beer in this bamboo tube? Yes, this is it. When you cook the fish later, add a little bit. The taste will be more delicious. Then, is this also made by you? Yes. Jingshu was shocked. The thing that had caused a stir in Chang'an City in the past 2 days was actually made by Prince Zhang? How could this be? What else could Prince Zhang do? Why could he write poems and songs? And why could he do it so leisurely in the kitchen, which belonged to inferior people and women? And this kind of God's nectar beer was also made by him? Needless to say, the neatly arranged dishes and meat skewers in the pub, as well as the stove, meant that the barbecue was also made by him. God, was Prince Zhang an immortal? Why did he know everything? Was he really a husband that God took pity on me and gave me? Chapter 465. A moment later, the fresh, numb, and sour smell of pickled vegetables drizzled with hot oil and pepper filled the inside and outside of the tavern. At this time, in the tavern, Li Shimin and others also stopped talking. Everyone's eyes were staring at the back kitchen of the tavern. Second brother, why don't you make the decision to betroth Miss Jingshu to Zhang Feng? This kid doesn't have a woman by his side. It's always inappropriate. And now Miss Jingshu has admitted that matter in front of so many people. It's equivalent to Miss Jingshu cutting off her own way out. I can't make the decision on this matter. Li Shimin smiled bitterly. If he could make the decision, he would have said it long ago. Why wait until now? But he didn't dare to interfere too much in this marriage. After all, this was Zhang Feng's own business. Old man, look. This matter really has to be said now. It's hard for you to say it later. I'll say it. Li Yuan also heard the words of Li Shimin and his wife. He said while shaking the fan that Zhang Feng took from the Confucian scholar. What are you talking about? Old master, what do you want to say? At this time, Jingshu opened the door curtain. Zhang Feng came out with a large wooden basin of pickled fish. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on the basin of fish, and their faces were strange. Kid, don't you know that carp is not allowed to be eaten in Chang'an City? Li Yuan smiled playfully. Damn, old master, there are only a few of you here. I even guard against you. What's more, this fish is so king fat. Apart from this thing in this river, where else can other fish survive? If you don't eat it, keep it for yourself. This carp has violated the taboo with the royal family. Don't you know? I know. That's why you guys are so lucky. Since when have I ever let anyone else eat it? They don't deserve it. Ha ha ha, you kid. Li Yuan shook his head. He didn't say anything else. Only then did everyone feel relieved. Come, come, come. There's also this plate of spicy fish. Try it. It's delicious. When Li Yuan heard that, his eyes instantly lit up and he called out to everyone, come, come, come. All don't be courteous. All eat together. Only like this is like a family. Chang Yaojin and the others looked at each other, and finally looked at Li Shimin. Li Shimin nodded. Only then did everyone dare to sit beside Li Yuan and Li Shimin. Zhang Feng didn't stand on ceremony. He put the two tables together and sat beside Chang Yaojin. Chang Yaojin glared at him. Where are you going to sit? Zhang Feng shrunk his neck. Only then did he sit beside Li Yuan. He really didn't want to sit beside this old man. He always felt that sitting here was like sitting on pins and needles. Not to mention that Jingshu was on the left. Forget it. Let's leave it to the heavens. Zhang Feng brought 3 jars of white wine and a large barrel of beer. Come, let's drink whatever we want. We have enough alcohol today. Fangzi, this fish of yours, can you teach him? This fish tastes really good. Zhang Sun tasted a mouthful and asked. Zhang Feng glanced at Zhou Dafu, who stood behind him like a wooden stake, and said, How much did you learn just now? No, I was tending to the fire just now. Didn't look. Oh, sister-in-law, he said he learned it. Don't play dumb with me. The chopsticks in Li Yuan's hand knocked on Zhang Feng's head. He glared at Zhang Feng and said, Such a good thing. You're willing to eat it alone? Aren't I sharing it with you guys? Zhang Feng said aggrievedly. Then this is how you share it. Teach him tomorrow, or else old man will teach you. Zhang Feng's face instantly collapsed. Everyone wanted to laugh. Zhang Feng, who was lawless in front of everyone, became like a cat in the hands of the retired emperor. By the way, Fengzi, what are you going to do about the school? Now that the barbecue and beer matter has been done, do you have time? The school will be handed over to the old scholar. Didn't we agree before? Li Shimin's expression froze. Then you, Zhang Feng said while eating the fish, that fine salt and the matter of Jinla, as well as the locusts and the bone-strengthening powder, which one of them have I worried about? Don't worry about the school. I know what I'm doing. Zhang Feng was a flower. In the eyes of others, there was no problem, but in the eyes of Jingshu, it was terrifying. The things that happened in Chang'an City before were all instigated by Prince Zhang. Especially the fine salt that was popular by everyone was also made by him. What kind of freak was he? This made the emperor, the empress, and the retired emperor have to discuss with him. And from the looks of it, Zhang Feng and the emperor seemed to be on the same level. What was going on? Jingshu instantly felt that her brain was not enough. These things accumulated one by one. Miss Jingshu, I calculated that your age seems to be similar to Prince Zhang's, right? Zhang Feng's ears instantly stood up when he heard that. What was going on? At this moment, Li Yuan gave the answer. Fengzi, I see that you and this little girl are about the same in terms of appearance and intelligence, so this old man will make the decision. Tomorrow, this old man will prepare for your marriage. In any case, this old man's palace has been won by you, and it's empty anyway. Is that okay? Cough, cough, cough. Zhang Feng coughed violently when he heard that. Old man, are you drunk? Chapter 466. Facing Marriage. Zhang Feng was slow-witted. It could be said that he had no sense of security. Not to mention in front of Jingshu, who was 90% similar to the former campus belle. Therefore, before entering the imperial court as an official and mixing in a certain position, he did not dare to get married. Now that there were so many things to do, how could he add to his worries? Not to mention, wasn't it good to be single? Speaking of entering the imperial court as an official, Zhang Feng's face could not help but brighten. Come on, everyone. Thank you for your help during this period of time. My academy can officially open. Come, let's drink. Everyone looked at Zhang Feng inexplicably and did not intend to raise their cups. Even Jingshu lowered her head at this time, not knowing what she was thinking. Zhang Feng awkwardly touched his nose, sat down and said to Li Shimin, "Well, Lao Li, I was thinking, didn't you say that after this academy opened, I can enter the imperial court as an official? Oh, have you thought it through?" When Li Shimin heard that, he also jumped in fright. He dreamed of Zhang Feng entering the imperial court as an official. But he was also a little worried. At this time, after Zhang Feng said it, Li Shimin could not help but hesitate. "No." At this time, Li Yuan said lightly, "If you enter the imperial court as an official, you have to go through the procedures. Otherwise, if there is no one to recommend you, even if your academy is open now, you haven't made any achievements yet, have you? So, boy, if you want to enter the imperial court as an official, you have to go through the procedures, unless you can make the academy very hot." Hearing this, Zhang Feng immediately did not want to do it. What the hell, what's the situation? At the very least, we've made contributions to His Majesty in the past. This cooperative, dealing with Tubo-Turks, which of those things were not done by us? Although Lao Li did not say this, according to the Emperor's ability, he should know about this, right? And isn't Lao Li acquainted with Lord Zhongsun? Didn't you ask me to go to the Ministry of Justice? Alright, old Wei, didn't you ask me to go to that place? What's going on? If that's the case, then I won't accept this marriage. I won't get married before I become an official. Zhang Feng might as well set a trap for Li Yuan. On the one hand, he wanted to avoid the spotlight. He didn't want to bring up the topic of marriage so early in a system that he really didn't like. He didn't know when this broken system would be activated. If he continued to wait like this, he might not even be able to wait until his hair turned white. If he could give it a try, he would first become an official and wait for the system to give it a try. If it didn't work, he could just resign. Furthermore, what he was about to do next was something he would never do without a strong relationship. However, when he heard that he had to take part in the imperial examination to become an official, he couldn't help but feel disappointed. Although this thing wasn't urgent, if he could enter it in advance, it would be better for his business and the school to do well. After all, this thing was his foundation. Without this thing as a cornerstone, how could he establish himself in the imperial court in the future? Fengzi, I know you don't want to get married so early, but have you thought about it? Today, Miss Jingshu can come, which means that she has broken ties with the aristocrats in Chang, and as well as everyone else. If you let her go back, how will she face others? Zhang Feng really didn't think of this. However, when he thought of that F*King agreement, he wanted to beat Chen Tiniu up. If it wasn't for that bastard, how could he have accidentally cracked Jingshu's 18 strokes of Huga and broken her oath? If only he knew this at that time, that F*Ker would have deciphered that thing. But now it was all over. Zhang Feng looked at Jingshu and felt a headache coming on. Lao Li, is there really no chance of entering the imperial court? Li Shimin smiled and shook his head. Although he only needed to nod, it was enough. However, at this time what Zhang Feng showed really shocked him. He didn't know where Zhang Feng's limit was, so he shook his head and said, "No, because of this and the academy, Lord Zhongsun and the Imperial College fell out, and this matter also reached the Emperor's ears. Although it's a good thing to abolish the academy, this is after all a backdoor. Now, the Emperor has blocked all back doors, so Fengzi, with your ability, that little imperial examination won't be difficult for you." Zhongsun Wuji took the opportunity to raise the bamboo tube and said, "Come, let's have a drink." He drank a mouthful of wine. Zhongsun Wuji then said, "Fengzi, I know what you're thinking. With your ability, it's obvious to all of us. And there are still 3 months to the imperial examination. If you can make the academy vivid in these 3 months, it will naturally attract the attention of the people in the imperial college. At that time, we can let you in through the back door, right? And with your ability, are you afraid of that thing?" Zhang Feng was really suffering, but he couldn't say it out loud. He knew his own situation. He knew what he was capable of. However, wasn't it just an imperial examination? Was it that difficult? At that time, Lao Tzu's poem would shock the whole world. Thinking of this, Zhang Feng was not so depressed. Well, Jingshu, for the time being, you don't have to go back to Yen Lai restaurant. For the time being, you can stay in the academy and help the old Shiozai. At that time, I will think about how to get the Empress's female officials and recruit a group of female students. How about you teach music? This? Don't worry, Miss Jingshu. Since Zhang Feng has said so, you can stay in the academy for the time being. After all, the academy is short of manpower. It's not too late to talk about the marriage later. Give the contract of selling yourself to Yen Lai restaurant to me. Seeing that Jingshu was hesitating, Empress Zhangsun directly stopped her. She didn't understand what the emperor and the retired emperor were thinking. But since they had said so, Empress Zhangsun couldn't say anything. And these words were even more strange in Jingshu's ears. Even today, she felt like she was in a dream. Everything she had seen and heard felt so unreal. What was wrong with the emperor, the empress, and the retired emperor? She heard that they wanted Prince Zhang to enter the palace very much and offered such generous conditions. The Ministry of Justice. But Zhang Feng refused. Now that Zhang Feng wanted to enter the court as an official, they actually refused? What on earth was going on? Jingshu, thanks madam for your help. Since Prince Zhang has difficulties and it's a serious matter, how can I dare to stop him? This concubine only needs a place to shelter herself. Fengzi, look at her. Alas, old man doesn't even want to talk to you. Then don't talk about it. Let's drink. We'll talk about this in 3 months. I'm not interested in this now. Everything is piled up together. Don't you think it's inappropriate to talk about this now? Chapter 467. Big news, big news. Inside the Chang'an Academy, Wei Shuyu rushed into the academy. Li Changqian and the others were so tired that they were panting. They sat on the floor and asked, "What's the matter? Didn't you go to ask about our food, you little bastard? What are you doing? Do you even need to ask?" Ouch! Chang Chumo and the others also threw the things in their hands and lay on the floor, groaning. When had this group of second generations ever done something like this? Now that Zhang Feng had done this, they were so tired that their bodies ached. "Hey idiot, did you go to the tavern? Did you bring wine? Come, give it to me to quench my thirst." Chang Chumo propped himself against the ground and leaned against the stone steps. "No, you're still in the mood to drink at this time? Do you know that something big has happened?" Wei Shuyu didn't care about anything else. She fetched a bucket of water from the well and poured it over her head. Only then did she feel much better. "Let me tell you, guess what I heard outside just now?" "What?" "If you have something to say, hurry up and say it. Otherwise, Lao Tzu will beat you up." Chang Chumo couldn't wait any longer. "I don't know what was wrong with Fengzi just now. He wants to marry a wife. Damn it, he actually wants to enter the imperial court and become an official now." What? What did you say? F***CK. Am I dreaming? The masters were completely dumbfounded. Because of Wei Shuyu's words, the computer was completely down. "Shuyu, tell me what's going on?" Did the emperor agree? Dugo seemed to be very excited and hurriedly asked, how could the two of them agree to this matter? The emperor asked him to participate in the imperial examination. Eft. Ha ha ha. Fengzi is participating in the imperial examination? F***CK. Damn it, is the emperor okay? If he goes to the imperial examination, he might even destroy the imperial college. However, this is also a good thing. Li Changqian seemed to have thought of something. Touching the blisters on his hand, he grimaced in pain. It's not like you haven't seen Fengzi's ability. Now that he suddenly wants to become an official, what does this mean? This means that we won't be able to keep our identities. At that time, although we can still be brothers, it will be difficult for our imperial father and the others. So I think that it's impossible for His Majesty to agree, at least for now. He knew his father well. Imperial father did not have a close friend. Now he finally had a friend. How could he want to lose this friend in such a short period of time? They all understood the reason behind this. When they first met Zhang Feng, they already knew about it. But now they suddenly encountered this matter again. They couldn't help but be curious. "Big idiot, Tell me what's going on. What's the matter with Fengzi? Why are you suddenly going to be an official? Wasn't this forced? Wei Shuyu looked distressed. The pain of a man, especially an outstanding man, is that when you want to work hard, someone will drag you down, such as forcing you to get married. Scram. F***CKU. Shut up. Seeing Wei Shuyu sigh, they couldn't help but take off their shoes and hit him. You're already a concubine of the third family. How dare you say this? Who the hell are you talking about, brat? F***CK. Beat him, brothers. As the few of them spoke, they swarmed over and violently beat Wei Shuyu up. The black-bellied Go actually took a tree branch and took off Wei Shuyu's boots and stabbed the soles of his feet, instantly making Wei Shuyu furious. In turn, he beat Go. After a while, they lay on the ground with bruises on their faces, gasping for breath. Brothers, we have to do something. With Fengzi's ability, if he gets involved in the vortex of the Imperial Court too early, it will do him no good. So we have to do something. Although the forced marriage is the key, let's go to the Zhang family. After hearing Li Chengxian's words, Wei Shuyu smiled slyly. There's no need to talk about Jingshu. She'll probably come to the academy tomorrow to report. From now on, we'll have more energy to work. Although there's no wine to listen to free zither music, these days are really like immortals. F***CK. That's true. But don't you think the Emperor wants to find someone to keep an eye on us? Based on Fengzi's character, he'll definitely be a hands-off boss. He's been fishing and drying nets every 2 to 3 days, and the old scholar can't do anything to us. If Jingshu comes, and she knows our background when the Emperor asks about her, the most important thing is, Jingshu is Fengzi's wife. Our hard days are coming. Zhang Sun Chong let out a long sigh, instantly waking everyone up from their sweet dreams. He had originally thought that this was going to be a wonderful thing. What the hell was going on? How did it end up like this? They had just sent away a fierce tiger, and now they were welcomed by a wolf? No, we have to think of something or we're really dead. What idea do you have? Everyone, I have an idea. Do you want to hear it? Chapter 468. If you have something to say it. Dugo patted the mud off his body and walked a few rounds in the courtyard. This Jingshu girl is good at zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. She's even better at the Empress's daughter. If we get Chengxian's sister here for him to teach, and then with the daughters of high officials and noble families. No. What kind of rotten idea is this? If there are too many people, our identities will definitely be exposed. This rotten idea won't work. Then, why don't we go and recruit people? If that was the case, wouldn't it be fine if Jingshu's name was spread out? There will be plenty of people willing to come to the academy. Well, that's feasible. Li Chengxian also felt that it made sense. This Jingshu's identity was a bit special. He was the person that Imperial Father had personally appointed to Zhang Feng. And now, he had actually stood up for Zhang Feng in front of everyone. Then, Yan Lai Lu would definitely not be able to return. Now that Zhang Feng wanted to enter the Imperial Court as an official, then Imperial Father or Imperial Mother must have forced him. This brat was a donkey that would follow orders. The more one forced him, the more unwilling he would be. In that case, wouldn't this Jingshu become their teacher's wife? This Jingshu was very famous in Chang'an City. When the time came, with her as a signboard, they would set up zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting classes in the academy. Naturally, those shameless students would crazily come to the academy. When the time came, wouldn't the academy's reputation spread? Jingshu would also have things to do. When the time came, her thoughts would definitely not fall on them. Thinking of this, Li Chengxian slapped his thigh. I thought of an idea. What idea? Have you thought of why Fengzi only recruited the 5 of us? They all nodded. They really did know about this. To put it bluntly, it was because they were lazy, but they couldn't help but think of something. Li Chengxian put his hands behind his head and crossed his legs. When Jingshu comes, the academy will be lively. At that time, we don't need to say anything. We just need to spread the news that Jingshu came to the academy. Then, there will naturally be people flocking over. Now that she's not in Yen Lai Lu, this is the academy. He he he. The crown prince is indeed the crown prince. Once we use this trick, no one will be able to control us. Ha ha ha, as long as Zhang Feng doesn't come to the academy, we will have the final say. All right, don't just stand there. Get to work. Otherwise, if Feng Zi comes tonight, we'll be in trouble. Sigh. He had miscalculated. If I had known that the old Xiaocai and Feng Zi would not be here, I would have called a few servants over. How comfortable would that be? Don't even think about it. Do you think Feng Zi is so easy to fool? That guy is cunning. If he finds out, what are you guys doing? If you don't finish cleaning the academy in 2 hours, you will have a negative score today. At this moment, the old scholar's angry and cold voice sounded behind them. In an instant, the few of them were like frightened chicks, their hair standing on end. He hurriedly got up. Those who swept the floor, and those who pulled the weeds. No one dared to say anything. A negative number. That was too cruel. There was not a single day where 10 points were awarded. It was all assessed by the old scholar. At the end of every month, the person with the lowest score would be called in by their parents. If their families found out about this, then their butts would be in trouble again. The few of them could only keep their heads down and hurriedly get to work. It was not that they wanted to do it, but this thing, if they did not do it, their points would be deducted. Seeing that the few of them had started to work again, the old scholar clasped his hands behind his back and walked away. Today, the old scholar was especially busy. For the sake of the academy, he had visited several great scholars in Chang'an City, specifically for the sake of the academy. Fortunately, those old fellows had bought a piece of paper. In addition, Zhang Feng had somehow gotten the engraved signatures of Chu Suiliang, Yu Shinan, and the others, which made things a lot easier. However, the more it was so, the more the old scholar suspected that there was something hidden behind this matter. It was not easy to settle the Imperial College and get the contract to set up the academy. Even so, the people behind Zhang Feng were able to get it. What could this mean? Could it be that Zhang Feng had a strong connection? Don't be ridiculous. Zhang Feng had never stepped out of the house. Except for a few fair-weather friends called Lao Li, he did not know anyone in the imperial court. Otherwise, why would Zhang Feng stay in the tavern? Could only be said that Zhang Feng's friends had really put in a lot of effort this time. Otherwise, the academy would not have been able to be set up. Although he did not often walk in the circle of great scholars, he still had his reputation. Therefore, the matter of him coming out of the mountain and showing up at the academy today could not be hidden from those people. Instead of letting them guess blindly, it was better for him to settle this matter personally. Otherwise, there would be people making trouble at the academy every 2 or 3 days. Although he was not afraid, he was afraid that it would affect Zhang Feng. Besides, he did not want Zhang Feng to be involved in the affairs of the previous dynasty. Therefore, there were some things that he had to do. At this time, looking at the first batch of students in the academy, the old scholar sighed and turned to enter a room with a large number of books. He sorted out all the poems that Zhang Feng had recited after drinking. This was the future of the academy. If anyone had any objections, he only needed to take out these poems and it would be enough to solve any problem. This was the game between scholars. If anyone had objections, come, leave your poems. Chapter 469. After sending off Lao Li and the others, Zhang Feng moved the recliner to the entrance of the pub again. He put on his sunglasses and looked at the people on the street who were pulling baskets of malt or counting banknotes happily. Zhang Feng suddenly felt that he had nothing to do. Now that Lao Li and the others had taken over the brewery, and he was personally in charge, he didn't want to worry about the tricycle. As for the salt factory and other things, he could just lie down and count the money. Now even Guzi, Zhuzi, and the others were busy. They were now the right-hand men in brewing beer. Basically, when Zhang Feng brewed beer in the backyard last time, they had already learned his true skills. The cooperative had now taken root in the Tang dynasty. The people of Chang'an City also threw away the vinegar cloth and replaced it with fine salt. Zhenla seemed to have become ruthless. The poisonous salt, which was more abhorrent than mud, had now become the main export product of the Tang dynasty. Although the price was still very low, 10 carts of poisonous salt could be exchanged for 1 cart of salt. This made the Zhenla people, from top to bottom, laugh crazily. And the table salt of the Tang dynasty people, who couldn't afford it in the beginning, now only cost 2 copper coins to buy a caddy of table salt. This kind of free and easy feeling made all the people of the Tang dynasty feel so unreal. This was all the strategy of the cooperative and Zhangfeng. The locust plague in Tubo and Tuyuhun was also completely solved, but now they encountered a serious problem, that was the shortage of food. They had to buy it from the Tang dynasty at a high price, but now they also carried the fate of working for the Tang dynasty. They couldn't even struggle. What's more, the Tujue, who had always been Tubo's biggest backer, couldn't even take care of themselves at this time. When Shelley took time out to rob the Tang dynasty and collect a wave of leeks, he was shocked to find that the horses in his tribes were basically gone. They didn't even have the horses to form a cavalry of 50,000 people. After learning that the war horses had been exchanged for food with the Tang dynasty merchants, Shelley vomited blood and fainted. In the end, Shelley could only send an envoy to the Tang dynasty, wanting to establish a good relationship with the Tang dynasty. However, the emperor of the Tang dynasty was also a thief, exchanging the rare ironware, iron ore, and other precious items of the Turks for food. This basically stabilized the surrounding situation for the time being. However, Zhang Feng knew that 3 years later, the final war between the Tang dynasty and the Turks would break out. The Tang emperor had never forgotten the shame of the Wei River, nor had he forgotten this great calamity. In the 6th year of Zhengguan's reign, he launched an all-out war against the Turks. Although the current situation seemed clear, if the current emperor were to act against Guanlong at this time, or if the 5 families and 7 families had the intention to be killed. Once the emperor made a move, Guanlong was not a fool. They would definitely help the Turks. After all, only the Turks could contend against the great Tang. At the thought of this, Zhang Feng's eyes could not help but burst out a burst of scorching light. By the way, the economy of the Tang dynasty has basically stabilized, but now, it seems that something is still missing. If I start the Industrial Revolution in the Tang dynasty now, what will happen? Zhang Feng's eyes could not help but be heated. Everything that Zhang Feng had done before was to pave the way, and eventually, the Tang dynasty would enter the beginning of a prosperous era after the situation was clear and the locust plague was over. Zhang Feng thought that after doing so much, the system would be activated. However, until now, the system showed no sign of activation. Was there something wrong with the way it was activated? Or could it be that this damned broken system was broken? After thinking for a while, Zhang Feng still could not figure it out. The reason why he asked Lao Li whether he could become an official in the court today was that he wanted to see what was going on with the system in another way. However, when he learned that he had to pass the imperial examination to enter the court, or run the academy abnormally, Zhang Feng could only start to think of other ways. He must be an official. No matter how rich he was, without a title or an official position, he was still a commoner. Now, the emperor was a little unhappy that he opened the academy through the back door, right? Then, I'll make you unhappy for a while. Fengzi, damn it, prepare the wine. I'm so tired. At this moment, Chang Chumo's loud voice interrupted Zhang Feng's reminiscence. Chang Chumo and the others were walking over here with their arms around each other's shoulders. Their blue and white Confucian robes had long been spotless. Zhang Feng glared at Chang Chumo and the others, turned over and went back to sleep. Fengzi, what's this? Let me have a look. When Zhang Feng turned around, the sunglasses on his eyes instantly attracted the attention of a few people. At this time, Zhang Feng remembered that he was wearing sunglasses. He hurriedly took it off and put it in his arms, but he was still a step too late. Zhang Sun rushed over and snatched it away. Zhang Feng was so angry that he stomped his feet. Give it to me. If you don't give it to me, do you believe that I'll make you pour out all the night incense in Huitong Fong tomorrow? Chapter 470. They bickered for a while. In the end, the sunglasses were smashed into pieces. They touched their noses and were dumbfounded. Zhang Feng did not feel sleepy at all. He dragged the recliner into the tavern. You bastards! Come in! They shrank their necks and followed Zhang Feng into the tavern. Zhang Feng threw a bamboo tube of beer to each of them. He also threw a strip of beef jerky hanging on the wine cabinet to each of them. While eating, he said arrogantly, "I have something to say. Go ahead." Li Gan said elegantly, "It's like this. I haven't figured out what to do with the academy, so I'm asking you guys. Li Gan, tell me your opinion first. I'll give you a chance now. Say whatever you want. After today, I'll have the final say in this matter." Li Gan's eyes flashed with surprise. "I've looked through the academy's lesson plan today. In the morning, we'll learn about the 4 books and 5 classics and the way of Confucius and Mencius. Old Xiu will teach us about this, and we've basically learned all these things. Afternoon, we'll learn about mathematics and study the classic works of various Confucian scholars." Li Gan thought for a while and said, "Although this arrangement is reasonable, I know how complicated mathematics is. De Bing and I have no problem with it. We've basically memorized it. But it'll be a little difficult for these fools." Zhang Feng nodded. This matter was really like playing the lute to a cow. "Iron Bull, Bug, De Bing, you 3 tell me. Do you have the ability to take down this thing? I'm talking about mathematics." The 3 of them looked at each other and finally shook their heads. "This thing is just a torturous thing. I know myself well. I don't deserve to learn this thing. Besides, what's the use of learning it? Going out to kill pigs and sell meat? Or doing a small business? Yes, we're here to learn the way of a general. What's the use of this thing to lead troops in a war? It's useless. If this thing has anything to do with leading troops in a war, then it's fine. But this thing is really useless. Fengzi, you're asking us to learn this thing. Isn't this torture?" Cheng Chumo and the others also lamented. Zhang Feng also had a headache. But a strange thing flashed through his mind. It was time for smart people like Li Qian and Du Dabing to come into contact with physics. It was simple physics that belonged to elementary and middle school. They were now equivalent to Li Gan and Du Dabing, who had already reached the level of a 6th grader in primary school, while these 3 idiots were only equivalent to the level of a 2nd grader. It's not going on like this. Well, if you really think so, then we won't go to the academy for now. Really? When the few of them heard this, their eyes couldn't help but burst into bursts of scorching light. Zhang Feng immediately waved his hand. "This matter is only temporary. The academy still has to carry on with it. These things, as well as the division table and the multiplication table, are still things that must be studied every day. Because I have something big to do soon. If it's the stuff, would you be willing to come? Once this thing is made, it can instantly raise the Tang dynasty to a higher level. Leading troops in a war? Have you ever thought of sweeping? I have a sharp blade that can block 5 objects. This thing is suitable for spears, bows, and other things. As long as you meet an enemy, you can shoot him from 500 meters away. Then the enemy will be like wheat being cut. Isn't that great?" Cheng Chumo and the others' eyes were burning. However, Zhang Feng continued, "I also have a type of shield that can block the most powerful spears in the world. If this kind of shield is made into heavy armor, even if the enemy has 10 million people shooting arrows and slashing at you, they won't be able to penetrate it even if they tire themselves to death. There's also a large engineering machine that can come and go on the battlefield without a trace, and a war chariot that can be used in various battle formations. Can come and go without a trace. Isn't that great?" "Great. Fengzi, are we brothers? If we are brothers, why don't you give me Iron Bull? A set? I thank your 8 generations of ancestors." Zhang Feng's face darkened. He stopped talking to this idiot. Instead, he looked at Li Gan and Du at this time. The 2 of them were deep in thought. They seemed to be thinking about what it was like as Zhang Feng said. Zhang Feng didn't explain. Instead, he asked seriously, "The 2 of you have officially graduated from the academy. But don't be proud. This is just the beginning. As I said before, after mathematics, there's another thing. It's also what Du Bing pestered me to learn. Physics. The amazing thing about this is that everything I said just now was created by the 2 of you. Do you want to learn this thing? Physics? The godly spear that could break through anything? What kind of physics did all of this come about?" At this time, Li Chengxian and Du Go's eyes were burning. "Do you want to learn?" Of course. What was this? This was Zhang Feng's real ability. Li Changqian took a deep breath and looked at Zhang Feng with a serious expression. He asked, Fengzi, tell me honestly, is this your real ability that you said before? Zhang Feng nodded. This thing can only be considered a little bit of my real ability. Do you want to learn? Yes. Chapter 471. Who didn't want to learn it? A spear that could break anything. A shield that could not be broken. If it had been someone else who had said this with their tempers, they would have long since slaughtered this lunatic with a single blow. But this was what Zhang Feng said. This was true. If this lunatic couldn't do it, he wouldn't be so serious. When Zhang Feng was serious and when he wasn't, that was when Zhang Feng would talk about serious matters. Zhang Feng's temper had already been seen through by them. Zhang Feng wasn't bragging about this thing. This thing was the most common thing on Earth in the future. Steel. Stainless steel. Once this thing was created, would these things be a problem? They wouldn't be a problem. But these weren't what Zhang Feng really wanted to do now. What he wanted to do the most was something else. Once these people could research stainless steel and learn elementary physics, that would be the beginning of the real plan. Iron Bull? Big Idiot. Bug. Do you three still want to fight the enemy with bayonets? What the F***CK? They couldn't help but be deeply shocked by what Zhang Feng described. With such a good thing, only a fool would be willing to dive in and be a target. Lao Tzu is wearing armor. Let him chop him. Isn't it better to tire him to death? When he's tired and paralyzed, Lao Tzu will chop him up. Isn't it good? This is the basic operation of a god of war. Fengzi. The three of them looked at Zhang Feng with admiration. Fengzi, once such a thing appears, it's equivalent to you creating a god for the Tang dynasty. A god of war. Once this thing comes out, the entire Great Tang will only need a few tens of thousands of people to wear this kind of armor and carry this kind of weapon to sweep through the world. Zhang Feng smiled slightly. Then do you know how big the world is? Li Changqian frowned and instantly thought of the world's map that his father and the Crown Prince's junior tutor Li Gang had talked about in the imperial study. This map was basically based on the Silk Road. In the Far East there were Ryukyu, Goguryeo, and other island countries. Further east was the boundless sea. Li Changqian couldn't help but recount according to his memory. I once heard my teacher talk about this matter. He said that if you go east, you will find Ryukyu Goguryeo, and if you go further east, you will find the boundless ocean. If you go north, you will find the frozen land, where you can't live. If you go west, you will find Dashi, the end of the Silk Road. If you go south, you will find Jinla, India, and other countries. Zhang Feng nodded. That's right. That's right. But it's not the whole world. This world is very, very big. It's at the other end of the sea. If we use the best ship we have now and sail for a few months, we will arrive at a piece of land. A land where savages live and only eat raw meat and drink blood. If we cross this place and head east, we will arrive at another place. This place is an undeveloped land. If we head east, we will return to Karalu and then return. Do you know where it is? Zhang Feng said all the things he wanted to say in one breath. In an instant, these guys were completely dumbfounded. The world was so big. For them, the Tang dynasty was the biggest place. Except for the Tang dynasty, there were Turkic countries and other countries. They had never thought that the world was so big. At this time, Zhang Feng did not know whether telling them these things at this time was good or bad for them. But now, the iron-armored ships were already being built. The long journey was inevitable. Moreover, with the establishment of the Science and Technology Department, if he did not give these guys a goal, their vision would be limited and they would have no goal. This was a drawback for them. Therefore, Zhang Feng prepared to tell them the map of the world today. Cheng Chumo, Wei Shuyu, and Zhang Xuan's eyes flickered. They thought that they had no hope of fighting in this life. But now it seemed that, as long as they wanted to fight this damn war, they would not be able to finish it in this life. This was the goal of people's life, and it was the goal of this group of second-generation officials. They thought that this was the end of their lives. But now, this was just the beginning. What did this mean? This meant that whether it was the indestructible spear or the armor and shield that Zhang Feng mentioned just now, they would be able to use it when the time came. These three Turkic farts. When the time came, Their goal would be the faraway land in the east that stretched as far as the eye could see. Li Changqian and Du Go's expressions were a bit strange. Sometimes they were excited, sometimes they were frowning and thinking. But no matter what, at this time they were deeply attracted by the things that Zhang Feng described. They believed that Zhang Feng would not be so boring as to lie to them. It was useless. Once they knew that Zhang Feng was lying to them, then wouldn't Zhang Feng be asking for trouble and get beaten up? Was this something that Zhang Feng would do? Fengzi, just say it. What do you want us to do? Li Changqian took a deep breath and asked with a firm gaze. Yes, Fengzi, just say it. Go up a mountain of swords or down a sea of fire. Just say it. What do you want us to do? Don't beat around the bush. Just say it in front of your brothers. Okay. Zhang Feng nodded. Then I will say it directly. I want to build a scientific research institute to research things that you have never seen before. Do you dare to do it? Chapter 472. Let's do it. Whoever doesn't do it is a grandson. Also, whoever doesn't teach is a grandson. Li Changqian and the others immediately roared with beer. They were all born under the glory of their father. They had long wanted to do something to show their father's generation their results. But unfortunately, everything changed after Zhang Feng appeared. His father, who had strictly ordered him to leave the palace, no longer asked about his affairs. He even encouraged him to come and find Zhang Feng. He used to despise the common people. But when he learned that the things his father made during this period were all made by Zhang Feng, Li Changqian truly realized how powerful Zhang Feng was. And then, in this small tavern, he had truly witnessed Zhang Feng's terror. While chatting, Zhang Feng had managed to toy with the surrounding countries that had been troubling the great Tang. All of this was a fatal attraction to Li Changqian. And in the future, he would be the master of the Tang dynasty. For him, it was only a matter of time before he went to war with the Turks. But now, the Turks didn't even have horses. Wasn't that equivalent to a toothless tiger? What was there to fear? Thinking of this, Li Changqian couldn't help but think of another thing. He asked, Fengzi, what exactly is the scientific research institute you mentioned? We just passed the entrance exam. Are we going to quit? If that's the case, how can we explain it to them? Who says you can't explain it to them? Let me tell you, hurry up and do this. Within 3 days, recruit 30 students for me. And they must be the best in all aspects. Isn't that enough? Besides, there is an old elementary scholar here, so nothing will go wrong. Every morning, you will have to come to the academy and teach these fellows what you have learned. I am talking about mathematics as well as military training in the future. Understood. Hearing this, Li Changqian's eyes instantly widened. Fengzi, do you mean that I have to participate in the military training too? What else? Do you think you are me? Zhang Feng angrily glared at Li Changqian. Li Gan, I'm doing this for your own good. Learn more about this. When the time comes for the actual combat class, you'll know how useful it is. There's an actual combat class. Li Changqian and the others exploded. Chang Chumo and the others clenched their fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. Li Changqian and Du Go, on the other hand, had mournful faces. That's right, it's a real battle, but it won't be you guys fighting together. Instead, it'll be going to the border to kill the Turks. This is the homework that must be completed every quarter. When the time comes, only the 5 of you will work together. You are not allowed to tell anyone about your journey, and you are not allowed to bring rations. You are only allowed to bring equipment, weapons, and armor. You are only given 10 days to make the round trip. Those who arrive within 10 days will be considered to have graduated. However, each of you must kill 30 Turks, and you must have a document from Long Yui or the garrison general of Yuzhou as proof. Hearing this, Li Changqian felt dizzy. The 10th day, they were not allowed to bring anything, not even rations, and they still wanted to kill 30 Turks? In an instant, Li Changqian felt as if the world was spinning around him. Motherf asterisk Ker, he finally felt as if he had entered a black market. How was the school? They were clearly going to the military camp, all right? Furthermore, even if they were going to the military camp, they shouldn't be doing this, right? However, Chang Chumo and the others grinned. Fengzi, rest assured. With the three of us here, these two fellows will definitely return safely. Zhang Feng glared at Chang Chumo. I know that you, Iron Bull, have great brute strength, but this time you will be supervising each other. Furthermore, I will have someone follow you. Don't worry, everything will be recorded. Furthermore, you are not allowed to help anyone kill. However, you must complete the battle yourselves. Furthermore, this is the course that will be taught after the research institute is established. I dare say that as long as you guys study seriously, these 30 Turks will be as easy as chopping vegetables for the two of you. Easy? Li Changqian and Du Go glanced at each other bitterly. Feng Zi, is this your true ability? You can say that. Zhang Feng nodded. This is a little bit of my true ability. If you guys don't want to learn Lao Tzu, I won't bother to teach you. When the time comes, I will pass it on to my son. Wouldn't it be better for him? After everyone saw that this was Zhang Feng's secret ability, their eyes burst with a burst of enthusiasm. Learn. Why don't you learn? If only this is your true ability. Ha ha ha, we will have confidence. Ha ha ha. We can finally show our ambition. Turk bastard. Just you wait for Lao Tzu. Ha ha ha. Shut up. Zhang Feng coldly poured cold water on everyone's heads. It's still early. This is only my initial setting. When the time comes, whether or not I will teach you is another matter. This will all depend on your own performance. Whoever dares to steal from me in the future, just you wait for Lao Tzu. While speaking, Zhang Feng's heart ached for his sunglasses again. The few of them curled their lips. They didn't care. Instead, they discussed their future ambitions. Zhang Feng was annoyed. He waved his hand and said, Scram, 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 scram. Go back and tell your father about this. If your father agrees, then we will report to him tomorrow. If he doesn't, then you can scram back to be your rich second generations or stay in the research institute and wait for death. Also, Li Gan, tell your father to come tomorrow. I have something to tell him. Also, I don't want a sixth person to know about the world I just mentioned. You guys understand what I mean, right? Chapter 473. Li Changqian and the others were very excited. But they also knew the importance and urgency of this matter. Moreover, this was a really big deal. Li Changqian and the others dizzily left the small tavern, sat on the sedan chair, and charged into the imperial city. Along the way, the steward of the crown prince's residence personally opened the way with a token. Who dared to stop them? Running was suicidal. They sped all the way. When they were about to descend the mountain, they arrived at Li Shimon's imperial study. Coincidentally, Wei Zhang and the others were also here. It was unknown what they were discussing. Everyone had a worried look on their faces. Seeing that Li Changqian and the others had returned and seemed to have something to report, Li Shimon asked, What's the matter? Father, we have something important to report. Oh? What kind of important matter? Li Shimon was interested. Feng said that he wants to open a research institute. What? Li Shimon thought it was about the academy. But when he heard this term that he had never heard before, he couldn't help but be stunned. What's the Academy of Sciences? Wei Zheng frowned and asked. I don't know. Zhang Feng didn't mention this. Oh, I'll say it. Seeing that Li Changqian was gentle, Chang Chumo directly stood up and said, Your Majesty, Father, uncles, it's like this. Feng said that he wants to open a research institute, and it's the kind that studies the sharpest spears, swords, and arrowheads in the world. He also wants to tinker with shields and armors that can break anything. Even if he stands in the army and lets the enemy hack at it for a day, they can't see through the armor. Spears that can break anything? Shields that can't be broken? What was that? Wasn't this nonsense? How could there be such a thing in the world? But the key was that this matter was said by Zhang Feng, so there must be some truth in it. If it was said by someone else, Li Shimon would have directly given him 50 strokes. Damn it, why didn't you say that the sow could fly in the sky? Chang Chumo, let me ask you, is this really what Zhang Feng said? Your Majesty, it was really Zhang Feng who said that. If I lie, may the heavens strike me with lightning. Hearing Chang Chumo and the Crown Prince's words, Li Shimon couldn't help but hesitate. Everyone, do you think this is true? Chang Yaojin stroked his curly beard. No one knew what he was thinking, but a cold light flashed in his narrowed eyes. Your Majesty, if this is true, then wouldn't the current situation be easily resolved? Zhang Sun Wuji stood up to remind him. Li Shimin understood. He waved his hand and said, "You can leave first. We'll talk about it later." Li Chengqian cupped his fists and said, "Father, Fengzi asked you to find him tomorrow. He said that he has something to tell you. Besides, he wants me to recruit 30 students by tomorrow. When the time comes." Li Chengqian gave a brief account of what had happened before he left the imperial study. Everyone, this matter seems to be exactly what we want. Aren't all of the officials complaining that Zhang Feng isn't qualified to teach the crown prince? If the crown prince were to become the teacher of these people, would these people shut their mouths? At this moment, Li Shimin was facing a difficult problem. During the morning court session, all of the civil and military officials were basically impeaching Zhang Feng. They said that Zhang Feng wasn't qualified to be the crown prince's teacher, especially the imperial college. But now, if the crown prince were to teach these people personally, wouldn't they be able to shut their mouths? The crown prince would teach them personally, and there would be a great Confucian scholar who was also a former official and an old scholar at the same level as Yu Shernan and the others. Who would dare to say anything? Moreover, this old scholar was really capable. He could persuade all the great Confucian scholars in Chang and city in just one day. What did this mean? Although he hadn't appeared in front of the public for several years, now that he appeared in this newly opened academy, it was also a kind of guarantee. When the time came, if Yu Shernan and the others also entered the academy, then, in addition with Zhang Feng's means and the things he taught the crown prince and the others, if the crown prince and the others taught these students personally, then Li Shimin didn't dare to think about it. When the time came, it would probably become the top academy in the Tang dynasty. It wouldn't be an exaggeration. Your Majesty, we think that if the crown prince becomes the teacher of the academy, wouldn't it be better if the crown prince's children enter the academy? Fang Xuanling's words. In an instant, Li Shimin's eyes lit up. Fang Xianling, I agree with your words. Come, send an order to Chang Chumo, Zhang Sun, Chong Wei Shuyu and Yuchi Baolin and Yuchi Baoqi. By tonight, no matter what method they use, they have to gather 30 people. Sometimes, these people really needed Chang Chumo and his group of stubborn people to deal with. When Li Shimin thought of the scene tonight, he laughed and said, "Dear officials, let's wait for a good show tonight. Ha ha ha." Yes, Your Majesty. Chapter 474. The sky turned dark, but the lights of Chang and city were completely lit up. And when the lights were just lit up, it was also the time when the stubborn people of Chang and city went out for activities. Chang Tiniu, the 4 demon kings, had disappeared, and they had obediently entered the academy to be obedient students. This was undoubtedly a joyous occasion for Chang and city. Now, all the stubborn people had arrogantly gathered at Swallow Descent restaurant. It seemed that a certain stubborn person had directly booked the entire Swallow Descent restaurant. Although Jingshu was no longer at Swallow Descent restaurant, this still couldn't stop their excitement. After all, tonight was the day when the new 4 demon kings would be selected. The door of Swallow Descent restaurant had long been closed. Unless you were familiar or a young person, no one was allowed to enter. The 30 burly men at the door were like door gods, who dared to force their way in. Come, come, come. Let's see if your legs are sturdy or not. Inside Swallow Descent restaurant. At this moment, it was in an uproar. Large amounts of copper coins were thrown down from the upper floor as if they were free. And as the son of Zhao Yugui, the supervisor of Imperial College, Zhao Gang could be considered to be in the limelight today. At this moment, he was standing in the attic on the 2nd floor, waving a folding fan and hugging Hu Ji in his arms. He couldn't help but laugh as he looked at the singers and servants fighting for the copper coins below. Where is the brothel keeper? Today, bring the most expensive wine and the most beautiful girls to this young master. Tonight, the entire place is on me. All right, young Master Zhao, you're so generous. Girls, are you all deaf? Why aren't you thanking young Master Zhao? Thank you, young Master Zhao. Oh, surnamed Zhao, when Tiniu and the others aren't here, why do you, a monkey, dare to call yourself a king? At this moment, a gloomy voice sounded from the door. Instantly, all the clamor in Swallow Descent restaurant stopped. A youth with a gloomy appearance and a tuft of hair on his forehead was lazily looking at Zhao Gang on the second floor. When Zhao Gang saw the person, he couldn't help but grin. Oh, I was wondering who it was. Isn't this that person? Right, the son of the previous imperial astronomer, Go Baoming, who was killed by the Emperor Emeritus. Why didn't I see you come out when Iron Bull and the others were here? Now that Iron Bull and the others have left, you can't sit still anymore? Let me think. How long have you been holding it in? How long has it been since you slept with a girl? Under Go Zhangming's cold gaze, Zhao Gang said with an exaggerated expression, "Oh, I remember now. It's been 2 months. No wonder you're here today. Men, pick 2 girls that I've used and reward them to young Master Go." Zhao Gang emphasized on the word cowardly and deliberately delayed it. Instantly, all the children of the officials on the second floor burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Motherf asterisk cur. Men, I'll also give young Master Go a girl. Madam, go find a Huji. How dare you? Zhao Gang, are you courting death? Go Zhangming was furious. Zhao Gang put on a fake smile and said, "Who doesn't know that the selection of the 4 great demon kings is held tonight? Who do you think you are? Do you think you're qualified to come here? If your father was still here, it would be fine. But your father is dead, so you don't have a chance anymore. If it were me, I would have King found a place and hid far away. Do you still dare to stay in Chang'an City? Zhang Gang, you're going too far. You know, even if my father is gone, we're still grasshoppers on the same rope. If you dare..." Bang! At this moment, the door of Swallow Descent restaurant was suddenly kicked open by someone. The loud noise instantly made the madam and Zhang Gang's subordinates angry. Who has the guts to barge into Swallow Descent restaurant? Men, break his legs and throw him out of Chang'an City. Yo, Zhao Gang, Motherf asterisk cur. I haven't seen you for a few days and you're really a monkey calling himself a king? A mocking voice slowly sounded at the door. It was hard to tell whether it was good or bad, but everyone instinctively trembled when they heard this voice. Zhao Gang and Go Zhangming trembled. They directly fell on Hu Ji beside them. He's here. That fiend is here. Everyone recognized this voice. All the children of the officials knew this voice. At this moment, all the stubborn guards threw away the steel blades in their hands and kneeled on the ground together with the madam. Master Chen, why have you come? Cheng Chumo boldly brought Zhang Sun, Wei Shuyu and Yuchi Bao Lin, who were clenching their fists and smiling playfully, into Swallow Descent restaurant. Especially Yuchi Bao Lin's Iron Tower-like figure, as well as his previous brutal methods. When people heard his name, they couldn't help but tremble. Grandpa Yuchi, Grandpa Wei, Grandpa Sun, why have you all come? Zhao Gang and Go Zhangming wanted to cry. For these killing gods to appear at the same time, it was definitely not a good thing. This was impossible. Chang Yaojin looked at Go Zhangming, who was squatting at his feet and holding his head. He said with disdain, "Trash like you dare to call yourselves the stubborn people of Chang'an? Moreover, the 4 great demon kings? Why don't you all take a piss and look at yourselves in the mirror?" Originally, this master had spared no effort to bring you all to a fun place, but now it seems, men, break the 3 legs of these 2 idiots and throw them to the Tenli slope. Isn't this too much? Zhang Sun frowned and reminded. They were afraid of going overboard. What are you afraid of? We're just following orders. It's not like you didn't hear what these 2 trash were doing here. If Lao Tzu finds out about this, even killing them would be a light punishment. We're doing a good deed. Chapter 475. When Cheng Chumo and the others left Swallow Descent restaurant, they couldn't help but fret. Li Quan and Li Tai, who were only 6 or 7 years old, couldn't go. How old were they? However, there were only a few of them in their family, less than 20 of them. They all understood the emperor's intention. He wanted to select a few of the sons of the officials to join the team. After all, they were now part of the team. If there were any benefits, they naturally had to be shared with them. Shuyu, where do you think we're going to find them? We're still short of 9. Why don't we go to their residences? Go. At most, we'll just fight our way in. We're just following orders. What's there to be afraid of? Yuchi Baolin's voice was filled with disdain, instantly causing the two of them to feel a headache. Was he still human? If they fought their way in, wouldn't they be poking a hornet's nest? Enough. When the time comes, we'll stick to the old rules. Fine. In a residence in the Palace Historian Province, a youth was pretending to read the 4 books and 5 classics. Beside him, a middle-aged man dressed in official robes was yawning. At this moment, a rock the size of a quail egg smashed into the middle-aged man's forehead. The middle-aged man's eyes rolled back and he fainted. At this moment, Wei Shuyu's voice slowly sounded from the nearby courtyard walls. Surnamed Zhou, come over quickly. Big brother will bring you to a fun place. Do you want to come? This person was the son of the Palace Historian Province's supervisor, Zhou Huaihua. He was actually a stubborn son, but today, his father had suddenly come up with an idea and captured him to be a scholar. Under Wei Shuyu's voice, Zhou Huaihua instantly regained his stubborn nature. He tossed aside the book in his hand and looked worriedly at his father. Don't worry, he's just fainted. Let's go. Okay. I'm coming. On the other side, in the residence of the Minister of Ceremonies, Chang Chumo and Yuchi Baolin boldly charged into the courtyard. After greeting the Minister of Ceremonies, they asked, "My lord, is your house inspector present?" "Yes, but it's already so late. I'm afraid he's reading." "No. It's fine, my lord Wang. We'll just have a few words. Tell him to come out for a moment." Lord Wang glanced at the two of them, but considering that this was the residence of the main character, he knew that the two of them wouldn't do anything rash. Thus, he waved his hand and had the butler bring Wang Jianshu over. "Virgin Mo? Baolin? Why are you here?" "Check. Let's go. Big brother has found a good place." "Where should we go to play?" Lord Wang's face instantly darkened. How could he bring his son to cause trouble in front of Lao Tzu? Was there still any law? Nonsense. Chang Chumo, Yuchi Baolin, for the sake of knowing your father, if you leave now, this official will not go to your residence to look for your father. If you dare to lead my family astray again, do you believe that old man will personally seek an explanation? Chang Chumo and Yuchi Baolin didn't even spare him a glance. He carried Wang Jianshu and walked out. Although Wang Jianshu was still struggling, the agitation in his eyes could not be concealed at all. He was F*King agitated. What the F*CK? This was the first time someone had come to their doorstep to kidnap someone. Men, block them for old man. Oh my God! This is Chang'an City. Is there still law here? Is there still law? Men, block them. Without waiting for him to finish, Yuchi Baolin drew the Mo saber from his waist with a flick of his hand. Everyone shrank back and slipped away. We're just following orders. You'll know tomorrow. With that, Yuchi Baolin left with his men in a carefree manner. Only a dumbstruck Lord Wang was left behind. Everyone in the residence was stunned. Virgin Mo, Boss Baolin, this is F*King exciting. Tell me, what's our next step? What? Snatch people. We're still short of 8 people. I wonder how many people Yuchi Baochi, Dugo, and the Crown Prince have managed to snatch. When Inspector Wang heard that even the Crown Prince had made a move, his eyes widened. What are we going to do? The young man had been indoctrinated with the idea of being loyal to his country since he was young. The stories he had heard since he was young were all about his parents. When he saw the Crown Prince snatching people in Chang'an City in the middle of the night, he could not help but feel excited. However, Chang Chumo glanced at Inspector Wang and said, "You go to the next house. You snatch people and we'll keep a lookout for you. What do you think?" When Wang Jianshu heard that, the excitement on his face turned into a look of dismay. This F*CK off, you coward. If you want to do that, you'll have to go and snatch people. Otherwise, don't say that you know us in the future. You don't deserve it. Yuchi Baolin glared at Wang Jianshu. Wang Jianshu's eyes turned bloodshot. F***CK. Let's do it. Let's go. Tell me who's next. Lao Tzu will go and snatch people personally. If you don't hand them over, beat them to death. The next house is the son of the imperial censor, Li Gang. Kid, it's up to you now. When Wang Jianshu heard that, he was completely dumbfounded. The imperial censor. That was the crown prince's junior advisor. F***CK. How big of a gamble was this? Chapter 476. Who are you? Don't you know that this is the imperial city? Breaking into the imperial city at night is a capital offense. If you don't want to die, get lost, Lao Tzu. At midnight, in front of the Vermilion Bird Gate, cries rang out one after another. On top of the city gate tower, groups of patrolling soldiers, as well as the imperial guards in the city, had already gathered the moment these people arrived. As time passed, these people did not leave. Instead, more and more people gathered. In the end, there were more than a dozen carriages. This time, the people on the city gate tower finally realized that something was wrong. Just as the voices on the city gate tower fell, an angry voice came from downstairs. This old man is Li Gang. I have an important matter to discuss with the emperor. Old man Wang Jinan, supervisor of the Chamberlain province. The minister of measurement requests an audience with the emperor, as the voices of people who only reported their names sounded. The people on the city gate tower finally could not sit still. What the hell was wrong with these important people? Were they collectively having a fit? Were they going to break into the imperial palace in the middle of the night? Quickly report this to the higher-ups. Quickly inform the Chamberlain province. As the orders sounded one after another, the soldiers at the imperial city gate went completely crazy. They had no idea what was going on. Were these officials collectively having a fit? Moreover, he was actually crying and sobbing. What was going on? In less than half an hour, Yi Zichen's expression changed. The imperial city gate opened. Little Gizi appeared at the city gate. He looked at the ministers and said indifferently, "The emperor has been waiting for you in the imperial study for a long time. Please." Everyone was dumbfounded. But now was not the time to ask. Finding their son was more important. After the inspection at the Vermilion Bird Bridge, everyone followed little Gizi to the imperial study in a hurry. In the imperial study, Li Shimin and the others were drinking tea and chatting. It was as if they had been prepared. The courtyard outside the imperial study was already brightly lit. When these angry ministers arrived, Li Shimin took a sip of tea and said, "Let's go. Follow me to take a look." As soon as they went out, the ministers led by Li Gang knelt on the ground excitedly and said, "Your Majesty, I have a memorial tonight. Your Majesty, we also have something to report. This old subject has something to report. Speak." Li Shimin calmly sat on a chair brought by a young eunuch and said. Only then did Li Gang bow. "Your Majesty, Chang'an city is no longer habitable." Li Shimin heard this and asked calmly, "Oh, what was the reason for this? My beloved, please don't get angry. Tell me what happened first. Chang'an city is right under the feet of the emperor. How can it be uninhabitable?" "Your Majesty, there's something you don't know. Today, just 2 hours ago, old man's beloved son, Li Xiaoji, was kidnapped." Li Gang finished speaking. Instantly, the group of ministers behind him also reported in grief and indignation. "Your Majesty, look at the big bump on my head. I don't know which bastard it is." When this old subject was reviewing my son's recitation of the 5 classics, this old subject was ambushed. When this old subject woke up, I found that my son was gone. "Your Majesty, tonight Yuchi Baolin and that damn Changchumo directly kidnapped my son, Wang Jianshu, from my residence under the pretense of visiting me." "Your Majesty, what is this? They are bandits." "Lord Wang, are you wrong? This old man's son, Li Xiaoji, was kidnapped by your son, Wang Jianshu. I didn't say anything just now because I was waiting for you to give this old man an explanation. Now you actually dare to call the thief, stop the thief?" Shouldn't you give old man an explanation? Master Li, my son was also kidnapped by your son. What do you mean by that? Come on, don't think that you can be lawless just because you are the master of the crown prince. If you don't return my son today, do you believe that old man won't be friends with you today? My poor son. What an honest person. Old man, how honest do you think your son is? Who here doesn't know that your son isn't a good person? He's not even 19 years old, but he already has 13 concubines. What are you thinking? My son was clearly taken away by your son with a knife to his neck. Return my son to me. Your Majesty, you have to uphold justice for me. My son wouldn't do such a thing. The more the officials spoke, the more indignant they became. They basically included Chang Chumo, Zhang Sun, Chong Wei Shuyu, and the others. However, every official whose son was kidnapped discovered that one moment their son was kidnapped, the next moment they would kidnap someone else's son. What was going on? None of the ministers understood what was going on. As they spoke, Li Shimin and the others' expressions became more and more strange. In the end, Li Shimin couldn't hold it in any longer. Ha ha ha, these little bastards, I clearly asked them to invite people. How did this happen? Chang Chumo, you have to discipline them when you go back tonight. Yes, we understand. Understand my ass. Who here didn't know the details of their sons? Each one was more stubborn than the other. Those who could be taken away were the best among the stubborn. How many people would take away those who weren't qualified? At this time, Li Shimin said, you can rest assured for the time being. Your sons are probably excited now. You all know about the academy that appeared in Chang'an, right? From tomorrow onwards, they will all receive compulsory education there. We are all so old. In the future, they will all be the successors of the Tang dynasty. I don't want to see them neglected like this, so I have decided that the Crown Prince will personally be the teacher tomorrow. What do you think? This? Chapter 477. The ministers were stunned. They all knew about the academy. They also knew some inside stories. How many people dared to open an academy in Chang'an? Even if you are a famous Confucian scholar, it is impossible for you to open an academy in Chang and under the nose of the emperor. However, how long has it been since the academy was established? Just like that, it was done. What did this mean? It meant that the emperor had acquiesced to the academy. Perhaps it was the emperor's idea. The emperor had shuffled the ministers in the imperial court, which meant that he wanted to target Guanlong. Everyone could see that. As for what happened tonight, if they were told about it in a serious manner, or if the emperor directly issued a decree or sent ministers to their residences, it would definitely attract the attention of those people. However, once these stubborn people made a move, it would only be regarded as these stubborn people causing trouble and would not forget to be involved in this matter. Thus, Guanlong's people would let down their guard. However, what about now? Everyone was deeply shocked. Li Gang cupped his hands. Your Majesty, this method is a bit inappropriate. If people know, then... Lord Li, you think too much. Zhang Sun Wuji cupped his hands. Think about it. Now you know the meaning of the academy. I won't say more. Now it's basically the Crown Prince who has the final say in it. Think about it. His Majesty is giving you another chance. I won't say more. You all know it in your hearts. Furthermore, this academy is now known to the public as a place for the Crown Prince and the others to gain experience. Think about it, this is the greatest deception. As for what your sons are like, this old man won't say much. We all know. Zhang Sun Wuji's words made them ponder. In an instant, they couldn't help but think of the guy named Zhang Feng. Was this person just a person cultivated by the emperor and the crown prince? A talent? Otherwise, why would she be willing to open an academy for him? Where did this kid come from? But no matter what, they knew very well what their son was like. As for this school named Chang and University, those strange rules that were mentioned when it was opened, could they really change their son? What were they struggling in the imperial court for? Not only was he doing this for the sake of improving himself, but he was also doing this for his son. If his son could be influenced by the crown prince, he would be able to get rid of his ruffian tendencies and learn some things. That would be great. Take Li Xiaozhi, the son of Li Gang, as an example. Although he was the crown prince's junior tutor, what about now? His son, on the other hand, was a complete bastard. He didn't study hard all day long and only thought about fooling around outside. But if you put this group of bastards together, Li Gang suddenly thought of something terrifying. It was like a basket of rotten eggs. If they were separated, they would be unbearably smelly. But what if they were put together? There should be 1 or 2 golden phoenixes among them, right? Li Gang couldn't help but look at the crowd, then at the emperor. The depression in his heart was swept away. Instead, he couldn't help but show a touch of horror on his face. Was this the emperor's plan? This was simply terrifying. I, Li Gang, thank you for your support, Your Majesty. I am willing to go through water and tread on fire for the Tang dynasty. We thank you for your painstaking efforts, Your Majesty. Tonight, we have wasted Your Majesty's grace. Please punish us, Your Majesty. Otherwise, we will feel uneasy. Okay. It's late. If there's nothing else, you can all leave. Li Shimin waved his hand with a smile. Although we are emperors and ministers, we are also colleagues. Our common goal is to serve the Tang dynasty. That's why I thought of this trick. You are not vulgar people. Since you can understand what I mean, you can do what you usually do. We accept the decree and thank you for your kindness, Your Majesty. Everyone knelt on the ground again in unison. Li Shimin waved his hand, and the crowd left respectfully. But when Li Shimin was about to return to the imperial study, he suddenly turned around and said, Minister Li. Li Gang hurriedly turned around. Yes, Your Majesty. How about you go to the Chang'an Academy? Well, Li Gang hesitated. Nominally, he was the crown prince's teacher. Now the academy was the crown prince's place to gain experience. If he went, what would it mean? What I mean is, the significance of the academy. I am worried about the crown prince, so I want you to help him run the academy. But if you do that, your official position... Li Gang heard that. He knelt down excitedly. I will do my best to fulfill Your Majesty's decree. Tomorrow morning, I will retire and return to my hometown. Then I will go to the academy. Well, okay. But I promise you that your salary will still be the same as before. I will also reward you with 3,000 dawn of rice, 3,000 strings of coins, and a real estate in Chang'an East City. How about that? What could Li Gang say? That was tantamount to hiding his identity in the dark. He didn't know how many years he could be an official now. Once he retired, his salary would be pitiful. But now, the emperor promised that not only could he leave this quagmire with dignity, but his salary would also remain unchanged. Perhaps when the academy was established, he could even return to the imperial court. That was a favor. Thinking of that, Li Gang knelt down excitedly. Thank you for your kindness. Chapter 478. Compared with this idle job where he could be careful in the mud at any time, Li Gang was more willing to choose this carefree job, where he only needed to teach students all day long. This was what a great Confucian scholar liked to do most. Drinking tea, reading books, studying things, and giving guidance to students when he had nothing to do. What was this? This was what a great Confucian scholar dreamed of most. After staying away from disputes, he could study knowledge quietly. At that time, he might be able to leave something that could make the protagonist go down in history in his lifetime. Li Gang was very excited. Although he was 82 years old at this time, as soon as he got home, he waved his hand and asked the servant to invite the barbecue seller on the street to barbecue for him at night. While drinking beer and eating barbecue, Li Gang laughed like a child. His abnormal behavior instantly frightened everyone in the mansion. Li Gang was so poor when he was a child that he didn't marry his current wife until he was 52 years old. Then he had a son when he was 69 years old. Therefore, the whole family and the people in the mansion doted on Li Xiaozhi even more. But this was not the case. It was the case that he had a son when he was old. Thinking of the past and everything that happened tonight, Li Gang always felt that it was so unreal. Master, what's wrong with you in the middle of the night? Right at this moment, a young man in plain clothes who was about 40 years old entered the study. He couldn't help but frown when he smelled the fragrance of barbecued meat, that filled the room and the oil and wine stains that had splattered on the books that Li Gang normally treasured and didn't want anyone to touch. "It's all right, madam. Come on. Sit down and have a drink with me." Li Gang's face was unusually red, and Madame Li was so scared that she hurriedly sat down. She wiped Li Gang's back. "Master, didn't you go to the palace tonight to ask the emperor for your son?" Madam, don't worry about Xiaoji's affairs, and no matter what he does in the future, don't ask about it. This is the old man's only request." "Why?" Madame Li was shocked, but Li Gang waved his hand. "Don't ask about this matter, and don't bother about it. Our son has grown up. He naturally has his own path to walk. Also, I have something to tell you. Didn't you want me to retire early and enjoy my old age? I promise you now. Tomorrow morning, I will ask the emperor to resign." Mrs. Li was scared out of her wits. She hurriedly touched Li Gang's forehead. After confirming that he was fine, she became even more panicked. In the past, when he was asked to resign, he would always fly into a rage. He was even more strict with his son. But what was going on today? Not only did he want to resign, but he also wanted her to stop taking care of her son. Why was he so happy? What exactly happened in the palace tonight? Li Shi could not understand. Everyone in the Li residence was confused. Not only them. Tonight, as long as it was an official in the palace, it would be hard for them to sleep. It wasn't until the gong sounded that everyone slowly got up and drank a bowl of bone-strengthening powder. In an instant, they were alive and kicking as they headed towards the palace. In the political announcement hall, since the establishment of the sign-in system, things had gotten a lot better in an instant. Basically, there were no more innocent people who did not attend the court. The discipline in the court had also improved a lot. On one hand, it was because Li Shimin had pulled a large group of people into his camp because of the matter of the locusts. On the other hand, it was because the relationship between the emperor and the retired emperor had been restored. Now, Guanlong, the 5 surnames and 7 Wangs, as well as the people of the Shandong nobles, no longer dared to be as arrogant as before. Once they raised their tails, countless ministers would instantly stand up and point at their noses to be scolded miserably before it reached the emperor's ears. How could anyone who could work in the imperial court be easy to get along with? No. His Majesty has arrived. While Xiao Gizi was singing, only then did Li Shimin slowly walk forward. Everyone held the white jade tablet with both hands and hurriedly bowed and shouted, "Welcome, Your Majesty. Rise." Li Shimin sat on the dragon throne on the 9 steps to heaven ladder. After looking around majestically, he asked, "Do you have anything to report today?" "Your Majesty, this old minister has something to report." Before everyone could speak, Li Gang, who had been a good man in the court all his life, hurriedly shouted in a loud and clear voice. Li Shimin nodded slightly. "Minister Li, please speak." "Your Majesty, this old minister feels unwell now. This year, I'm 82 years old. Thanks to Your Majesty's kindness, this old minister is allowed to teach His Highness the Crown Prince. But recently, this old minister feels that my body is really weak. I always dream of my deceased relatives at night, so this old minister wants to resign." "What? The Crown Prince wants to resign? This?" Hearing this, all the ministers could not help but be surprised. Hearing this, Li Shimin nodded with a dignified expression. He sighed and said, "Fine, although I can't bear to part with you. Over the years, you have done a lot for the Tang dynasty. Since this is the case, I'll allow it. Since the Crown Prince wants to resign, although I can't bear to part with him, I'm not a pedantic person. Come, bestow the Crown Prince's junior master the hereditary title of Duke, 3,000 strings of money, 3,000 shur of rice, and a mansion in Chong and Dong City. I'll let the Crown Prince's junior master enjoy his old age. This minister accepts the decree and thanks for your kindness." Chapter 479. After dealing with these matters, Li Shimin instantly felt that ever since the reward and punishment system was established, he had been especially idle. After accompanying Li Yuan to play mahjong 3 times in the imperial garden, he also accompanied the empress to take a stroll around the palace. By the time lunch was over, waves of sleepiness made Li Shimin involuntarily feel disappointed and frustrated. Although Zhou Dafu's culinary skills were not half as good as Zhang Feng's. But it was enough. Now, as soon as Zhou Dafu returned to the palace, he did his best to impart everything he had learned to a few trusted imperial chefs. Once he shared it with the retired emperor and the others, there were not enough people in the imperial kitchen. Even Chang Yaojin and the others sent their own chefs to the palace to steal his skills under the guise of discussion. Li Shimin tolerated this. Even Duke Chunho Junji, who was far away in Luozhou, sent people to steal his skills. Li Shimin couldn't take it anymore. But these old fellows were his old friends. Li Shimin could only thicken his face and prepare to send 3 more people to Zhang Feng to learn his culinary skills. There was no other way. If he didn't show them some favor, there would always be people complaining to him. He, Li Shimin, would really be annoyed to death. Instantly, Li Shimin also wanted to see what Zhang Feng wanted from him and ask Zhang Feng about his future plans. Ever since he heard that there were still 3 years before the imperial examination, this kid was acting very strange. After finding an opportunity, Li Shimin used the excuse of taking an afternoon nap and slipped out of the palace through the back door. Although Wei Shuyu was missing, these people were basically Li Shimin's trusted aides. There was no need to worry about their safety. With his hands behind his back, Li Shimin patrolled the Chang and city. He looked at the shouting on the streets, as well as the bargaining, and the red-faced quarrels at the meat stalls. Li Shimin was in a very good mood. Unknowingly, he had arrived at the entrance of the tavern in Tonghui Lane. At this moment, the tavern was still as cold and cheerless as before. However, it was a different story in the winery next door. In order not to disturb Zhang Feng, who was sleeping at the entrance, Old Ho purposely changed the front door to the back door and the back door to the front door. Zhang Feng was snoring in front of the tavern, which was filled with the smell of distiller's grains and malt. Li Shimin looked at the bustling Tonghui Square and then at the deserted tavern. He could not help but shake his head. Feng Zi, I'm so envious of the way you're living your life. Li Shimin called out to Zhang Feng twice. He sat on the stone steps beside Zhang Feng and looked at the busy commoners in the distance. Although these people were very busy, however, his face was brimming with unconcealable happiness. This was what made Li Shimin feel gratified. In a prosperous era, wasn't it to let the commoners eat, wear warm clothes and earn money at the same time? Now, wasn't this a prosperous era? Lao Li, when did you come? In a daze, Zhang Feng seemed to hear someone calling out to him. However, it was only a single call. Zhang Feng was too lazy to care about it. He slept for a while more before he woke up groggily. When he opened his eyes, he felt someone squatting beside him. He did not know why, but when he saw who it was, he was scared out of his wits. Li Shimin saw that Zhang Feng had woken up. Then he said, "Not long, only half an hour." "Half an hour? Then why didn't you wake me up?" Li Shimin was speechless. "You were sleeping like a pig. Who could wake you up? All right, let's go in. I have something important to tell you today." Zhang Feng got up. He did not even want the reclining chair. He pulled Li Shimin into the small tavern. As usual, Zhang Feng took out the spicy grasshopper that he had kept for a long time. Then, he made a few dishes to go with alcohol. He did not drink beer anymore. Instead, he drank the white wine. After 3 glasses of wine, Zhang Feng said, "Lao Li, I believe Li Gan has already told you about that matter when he went back?" Li Shimin nodded. "He said that you are going to set up an Academy of Sciences?" Zhang Feng nodded. "That's indeed the case," Wang Yao said. "They've learned the basics well. Moreover, I've been observing the pedestrians since I had nothing to do these days. Look at Chang and now. Basically, the economy has recovered. There's nothing else that can be produced." Actually, Zhang Feng did not say one more thing. That was, even if there were things that could be created now, would the people of this era be able to accept it? For example, soap, toothpaste, and so on. He wanted to do it, but how could he do it alone? Zhang Feng was the kind of person who was only interested in things for a short period of time. Once there was nothing, he would want to do it. But once there was something, he would be too lazy to do it. just like the winery and the academy. He had done it. But the tedious trifles and the things that required him to get up before dawn to do it. Could he get up? If he could get up, he would not be Zhang Feng. He might as well have a helper and be a hands-off boss. That would be more comfortable. However, there were some things that he could not compromise on. For example, the development of the industry. Now that everything was not up yet, he could not be lazy. At the very least, he had to get Li Gan and the others to do it for him. Then, wouldn't it be great to be a hands-off boss? Chapter 480. Soaking in a bathtub full of shower gel bubbles, listening to the beautiful music of the Tang dynasty, and hugging a beautiful woman. That was true enjoyment. But now he didn't have these things yet. He had to rely on himself to make them. Li Shimin also knew that Zhang Feng was a lazy guy, but things that could make a lazy guy care so much were bound to not be so simple. Li Shimin drank a glass of wine and asked, "Then can you tell me what this Academy of Sciences is? I haven't heard of this thing before." "Academy of Sciences, this thing is amazing." Zhang Feng sighed and asked mysteriously in a low voice, "Lao Li, I'm not afraid to tell you. Have you ever seen a machine that can weave 30 feet of cloth in a day? Have you ever seen a spear that can be indestructible? Have you ever seen—" "Come on, don't brag. Just tell me, what is this thing? Tell me honestly, is this thing your real ability?" Li Shimin had wanted to ask for a long time. This thing, he had never heard of it. An indestructible spear. How could it be? Only after figuring out whether this was Zhang Feng's real ability could Li Shimin determine what this thing was. Zhang Feng nodded. "If it wasn't my real ability, would I be able to do it like this? Then what you said is somewhat suspicious of bragging. Who doesn't know that weaving, a person can only weave 30 feet of cloth at most if they are exhausted to death? This machine of yours, can it be compared to more than 10 people?" Zhang Feng smiled mysteriously. "What is this? Let me tell you, this weaving machine can not only do this, but it also doesn't need people to operate it. Do you believe it? Get lost. Didn't I say you were just fucking bragging?" How could Li Shimin believe it? But even if he believed it, with his understanding of Zhang Feng, the more excited he was, the more this guy would brag. So Li Shimin thought that this guy couldn't be agitated. Once he was agitated, everything would be revealed. It's not. Seeing that Li Shimin didn't believe him, Zhang Feng's eyes turned red. F***CK. "Lao Li, you don't believe me? Come. Today I am going to give you a lesson. Let's talk about this textile machine. I have a way to use a windmill or a water wheel to connect these things. According to the data, a water wheel can connect at least 30 looms and let them operate at the same time. Moreover, one of them does not need a single person. Do you believe me? If that's the case, wouldn't this textile be the best-selling product of the Tang dynasty all over the world? Once you increase the production, won't you be able to make double the money? What is this? Not only will this not cause workers to lose their jobs, but it will also create more job opportunities. This is an opportunity to do good deeds. Once I do this, the emperor might come to see me in person. Keep bragging." Although Li Shimin was stubborn this time, he didn't have any confidence in what he said. He was deeply shocked by Zhang Feng's description. If this was really done, then, at that time, the Tang dynasty's trade was bound to rise to a new level. Zhang Feng wasn't happy. "Old Li, I'm not bragging. This is my true ability. Do you think that I, Zhang Feng, am only good at cooking? Do you really think that I, Zhang Feng, am good at national policy? You're wrong. That's just a drizzle. Do you know that? This is real ability. Previously, national policy wasn't easy to show. Let me tell you, Lao Li, listen carefully. This is the real thing. This is called national destiny. Once this research institute is done, I'll tell you." Zhang Feng pretended to look outside the door mysteriously, closed the door, and whispered in Li Shimin's ear, "What is this?" "This is the good thing I told Li Gan before. It's something from the extraordinary scripture. I can't tell you the extraordinary scripture, and you won't understand it even if I tell you. I can only do it and use it." "Is this true?" Li Shimin was finally shocked. Extraordinary scripture. When he heard the words extraordinary scripture, he didn't have any worries at all. If you were talking about science, he really wouldn't understand. But when you were talking about extraordinary scripture, he understood. Seeing Li Shimon's reaction, Zhang Feng patted Li Shimon's shoulder and said, "Have you ever seen me, Zhang Feng? Say anything unreliable?" "That's true." Li Shimon nodded. "Then tell me, what are you going to do?" "Nothing. I'm going to buy a piece of land and get Li gone and the others out. That place isn't suitable for them. What I'm going to do is very complicated. So, they can only go to the institute for 2 hours a day to teach them some of the basic things I taught them. Most of the time, they'll be doing research at my new place." "Just tell me, which piece of land do you have in mind?" "I have some land outside Chang'an City. You said you want a few dozen acres. I'll ask my butler to bring you the deeds tomorrow." No. Lao Li, you're mistaken. I don't want a few dozen acres." Li Shimon was stunned. "How many acres do you want? Can you get it in Chang'an City?" "No. I'm talking about 50,000 acres. Peft." Chapter 481. Li Shimon was dumbfounded. This time, he was completely dumbfounded. He originally thought that the Academy of Sciences might be bigger than the Academy of Sciences, but there were only a few of them. At most, he would give him a piece of land outside Chang'an City. However, he never expected that Zhang Feng would ask for 50,000 mu of land as soon as he opened his mouth. What was he doing? Are they going to build a fucking city? Why would Li Shimon be so dumbfounded? Anyone would think so. How big was Chang'an City? The moment Zhang Feng opened his mouth, he asked for 50,000 mu of land. Who wouldn't think that he was wrong? "Brother Zhang Feng, tell me, how much do you want?" 50,000 mu of land, and this is the area planned in the early stage. When the time comes, 50,000 mu of land will not be enough. Are you sure it's 50,000 mu of land? Not 5 mu of land? Zhang Feng glanced at Li Shimon and pointed to his nose. "Lao Li, who do you think I am?" I'm Zhang Feng. I also want 5 mu of land. Do you think I need to borrow money from you? If it's 5 mu of land, I can buy it with my own money. Do you think I want 5 mu of land? But you don't need to ask for 50,000 mu of land. Li Shimon had a toothache. If it were a few dozen or 100 mu of land, he could make the decision to give it away. But 50,000 mu? What the hell? Do you have a preferred location? Yes, it's the Shao Mountain outside Chang, near the eastern foot of Zhongnan Mountain. Are you sure? Li Shimon couldn't believe that Zhang Feng wanted to move the new research institute to such a far place. In this way, if something happened there, wouldn't he be unable to take care of it? "Fengzi, why don't you choose a place closer to Chang'an? There's nothing there, just a wasteland." "Why did you choose there?" "Wasteland?" Zhang Feng smiled. He had watched the White Deer Plains novels and dramas more than 10 times. That place was a military stronghold. More importantly, those who did research had to stay away from the hustle and bustle. No matter what they did inside, no one would be able to stop them. Wouldn't that be great? "Lao Li, you don't have to worry about that. The reason why I chose that place was because I had my own considerations. To do research, I must be far away from the noisy environment of Chang'an City. What do I want? What I want is a quiet place. Before I came to Chang'an, I had an idea about that place. Anyway, no one lives there now, and there are no commoners. I reckon that the place is cheap, so I plan to build the research institute there. But you don't need that much space, do you? Tell me honestly, what do you want?" "What?" Zhang Feng thought for a while and said, "Actually, I haven't thought about it in detail. Let me put it this way first. The research institute here doesn't need much space, but I want to open 3 factories. Look at the environment and geography of that place. It's the most suitable place to manufacture textile machines. Once I finish my research, shouldn't I test it on the spot? Once that thing is produced, Lao Li, just wait for me to make a fortune. What else?" Li Shimon continued to ask. 50,000 mu of land. That was not a small number. "Then, I want to build a smelting factory to smelt the kind of spear that can break through anything and the kind of shield that can break through anything. Think about it. Don't you want others to know about these 2 things? This is our true ability. say barbecue, beer, and other things like that, it's fine if you let them learn it. But if you spread it out, it'll cause chaos in the world. Li Shimin also knew that whether it was the spear or the shield, once the weaving machine was spread, the consequences would be unimaginable. Li Shimin couldn't help but be excited. There's another factory. What are you going to do? Didn't I tell you about the other one before? Isn't it that iron car? Do you think I made a tricycle for fun? You're wrong. That thing is only in its preliminary form. Okay. Don't pretend. I already know. You said you want to make a chariot, right? Zhang Feng saw that he couldn't pretend anymore and touched his nose. Wrong. You've already started that factory, so I definitely won't do it. What I want to do now is the wheel. You also know that it's not difficult at all. The difficulty lies in the material of the wheel. That material is also called rubber, and it's produced near Nanzhou. It's extremely precious, so I have to research something to replace it once he makes it. Then, Zhang Feng paused and asked again in a low voice, have you seen a car that doesn't need a horse and can travel 1,000 miles in a day? And a ship that can travel 1,000 miles in a day? I didn't want to say these things. Otherwise, you would say that I'm bragging. But now I have no choice. Okay, I won't pretend anymore. I'll tell you. I'm a genius. How about it? Lao Li, think about my Academy of Science. What do you think? Isn't it awesome? Chapter 482. What could Li Shimin say? Now he finally understood one thing from Zhang Feng's words. This guy really wanted to make it big this time. As for the thing that could travel thousands of miles in a day and did not require a horse, he was really looking forward to it. Li Shimin could not help but take a deep breath and ask, Fengzi, are you sure these things are really your real ability? Do you think I would lie to you, Lao Li? In the Great Tang, other than the few of you, I really don't care about anyone else. You are my brothers, and when have I not been open to my brothers? Li Shimin was a little flustered, but when he thought of the things that Zhang Feng described, he could not help but be a little excited. This time he was really moved. These things would be his in the future, and he could not take them away. Moreover, they were things that could really change the Tang dynasty in the future. Now, basically everything that could be developed in the Tang dynasty had been developed. Foreign trade as well as commercial routes, all of them had fixed routes that belonged to him and so on. The people were also really rich because of these things. Once these things, especially the textile machine, were implemented, if everyone had one, wouldn't everyone be able to lie down and make money like Zhang Feng? If this was not a golden age, what was it? At that time, would the people of the Tang dynasty starve? In the military, once there were chariots and the spears and shields that Zhang Feng said, who would dare to provoke the Tang dynasty? At that time, it would not be others who provoked the Tang dynasty. It would be others who would be afraid of the strength of the Tang dynasty. Outside, there would be the best equipment. Inside, there were so many things to develop the economy. Li Shimin felt his blood boil just thinking about it. Fengzi, just tell me how much you want. I Lao Li will take care of it. Isn't it just 50,000 mu of land? Thanks to you, I Lao Li have a lot of money. Just tell me how much you want. Li Shimin patted Zhang Feng's shoulder and suppressed the excitement in his heart. Zhang Feng couldn't help but look at Li Shimin in surprise. Why do I suddenly realize that, old Li, you really deserve to be called a businessman? You are so damn cunning. All right, since you've already said it, then let's not be coy. You'll pay for it, but I'll take care of the purchase of the land. Otherwise, I'll be the one moving my mouth while you run your legs. That won't make sense. This time, this matter is too important. I don't dare to make any mistakes, so... All right, since you want to do it, go ahead. Li Shimin thought about it and finally agreed. This matter was not complicated. Zhang Feng was now a little famous in Chang'an City. If he came forward, he could also show his face in Chang'an City. After the two of them discussed some details again, Li Shimin said, Fengzi, I have something to tell you. What's the matter? I want 3 more cooks in my family to learn from you? Zhang Feng stared at Li Shimin in horror. Brother, what's wrong with you? Is your family running a restaurant? Didn't you teach one of them? Why are you starting again? Do you really think I'm a free cook? No, I mean that Zhou Dafu was taken away by my father. Now, old Chun and old Sun's wives are pestering my wife all day, wanting to learn this thing. I have no choice. All right. Look at you, do you think I have time now? It's okay. You do your thing. When the time comes, I'll ask them to take care of the tavern for you. You can teach them when you have time. This matter is not urgent. Alas, Zhang Feng sighed. All right, since you are so embarrassed, let the three of them come. After all, we are brothers. Seeing that Zhang Feng finally agreed, Li Shimin left with satisfaction. Zhang Feng stretched. The dizziness made him sleepy again. Walking out of the tavern, he hung a sign that said closed and habitually lay down on the recliner covered with tiger skin. But the next moment, Zhang Feng was scalded and got up. He touched his lower body and roared angrily, "Which son of a bitch took away Lao Tzu's tiger skin?" At this time, Chang Chumo, who stole the tiger skin, looked at the angry Zhang Feng from the corner and could not help but laugh. Go. Let's hurry up. Don't let Imperial Father see us." Li Chengqian looked around worriedly. His Imperial Father had just left. Who knew if their actions were seen by the Jinwu guards? It won't. With Idiot Wei watching, there shouldn't be any problems. Moreover, isn't it just giving his tiger skin to Jingshu? If this brat is stingy, can't we just get him another one? That's his wife. We're just doing him a favor at no extra cost. Then, I hope it's okay. Li Chengqian nodded hesitantly. The two of you, His Majesty invites you in. Just as Chang Chumo and Li Chengqian were whispering something, Little Gizi's gloomy voice sounded behind them. The two trembled in fear. Chapter 483. Chang and Local Government. He had to deal with everything in Chang and even the matters of the land. Although it was just a small county government, it was still a great place under the rule of the emperor. At this time, the county magistrate of the county government was temporarily taken over by Fang Xianling after the Minister of Works was dismissed. Also, because the imperial court was deliberately targeting the officials in Guanlong, the old county magistrate finally got the promotion document recently. After the old county magistrate happily took office, the county magistrate transferred from Lantian was a little confused. In the place where Lantian's uncles and grandparents didn't love him, he was the sky and had nothing to do all day. But since he had just taken office yesterday, he had been dealing with things from noon until sunset before he had visited the neighborhood and learned about the general situation of Chang, and from the private advisor. At this time, the newly appointed county magistrate, Niu Weili, had a headache. He just got up and made a pot of tea, ready to relax, and then he encountered a case of grievance. What time was it? It was only King time. Dressed in emerald green official robes, he rushed to the court without even bothering to eat breakfast. The constables in the court seemed to be used to it. They yawned and lazily shouted. Bang! Niu Weili slapped the gavel and said, "Guards, open the court." Niu Weili led the way. The private advisor didn't even bother to fasten his belt. With a folding fan behind his neck, he walked in leisurely from outside the court. "Lord Niu, this is the complaint. Take a look." Niu Weili waved his hand and grabbed the complaint. When he read it, his lungs were about to explode. The complaint said that two barbarian businessmen went to the brothel last night, but they lost all their money this morning. What kind of *T case was this? Guards, summon them to the court. As Niu Weili's voice fell, a crying woman in gorgeous clothes and a skinny man with a black beard and a pair of beady eyes entered the court. When the bearded man saw Niu Weili, he knelt on the ground with a thud. "My lord, you have to uphold justice for me. Last night, this lowly one went to Chunfeng Lu to spend the night. But this morning, when I woke up and was about to tip this coquettish fox 10 copper coins, I discovered that my money pouch was gone. That's the money our small clan is waiting for to save our lives. My lord, you must uphold justice for me. Your Excellency, don't listen to this nonsense. Last night, when he gave my mother money, I saw with my own eyes that there was only a piece of leather left in his money bag. He's obviously trying to blackmail me." "Shut up." Niu Weili looked at the bearded man and then at the woman. He asked, "Are you that flower?" Let me ask you, was there a witness last night? Yes. Last night, when he was paying, my mother also saw it. She even muttered that he was a pauper. Men, summon the procuress. After a short while, a middle-aged woman who looked old but still had some charm walked into the hall with graceful steps. When he saw Nyo Weili, he bowed respectfully. Madam Sun Lucier greets your excellency. Nyo Weili frowned and asked, let me ask you, did you see that there was no money in this person's money pouch last night? Your excellency, this servant can testify to this matter. This servant has been in this business for many years. Although this money pouch is separated by cloth, I can still see how much money is in this money pouch. Nonsense. Your excellency. These two people are speaking irresponsibly. Yesterday, this lowly one clearly sold 30 caddies of mink fur from the rice shop in Shi City. Look, this is the receipt that the old shopkeeper of the rice shop gave me. There's also the time. After receiving the money, I saw that it was already late, so I went to this unscrupulous shop. Please take a look. The bearded man was so agitated that his whole body was trembling. Nyo Weili looked at the receipt and handprint, then waved at the advisor. Advisor, look. Is this the old shopkeeper's handwriting? The advisor squinted his eyes and took a look. He picked up the paper and sniffed it. That's right. This is indeed the old shopkeeper's handwriting. If you don't believe me, please wait. I'll go get the old shopkeeper's tax receipt this year. You'll know if it's real or fake once you compare it. As he spoke, the advisor really did hurry to the back room. At this moment, Nyo Weili squinted his eyes and looked at the female brothel keeper and the bearded man. If you plead guilty now, this official will be lenient. If you wait until the handwriting is compared, then this won't be a simple matter. Brothel keeper, this young lady and you, this official will give you the time to drink a cup of tea to consider. Men, go and summon the old shopkeeper of the rice shop in Shi City. When Nyo Weili and Su Rian were in Lantian County, they basically had nothing to do. However, this didn't affect his judgment when it came to things like trying a case. Just now, he had already seen something from the three people's gazes. You tell me, before you went to the brothel, is there anyone who can prove that you have money in your money pouch? Yes, my fellow countryman, he also stays in this brothel. He's right outside the door. My lord, can I have a word with you? The brothel keeper finally couldn't sit still. She walked up and said, My lord, I don't see your face. You must have just taken office, right? I have evidence here. My lord, please take a look. As she spoke, the brothel keeper opened her embroidered robe and placed it in front of Nyo Weili. What kind of evidence was inside? It was clearly a banknote worth 10 taels of silver. Nyo Weili was furious. He shook off the brothel keeper's hand and roared, Men, put this shameless brothel keeper in jail. Yes. Chapter 484. All this was seen by Zhang Feng, who was waiting at the door. He knew about Chun Feng House. It was a brothel that specialized in tricking those beards. It was notorious in Chang'an City. Ordinary people of the Tang dynasty did not dare to go there. Although Chun Feng Lu didn't talk about its own people, who would dare to go to the shadow tree's bark? Maybe they would get up early in the morning and take away the cloth in their pants. This was just an interlude. He knew that the procuress would come out at noon today. As for, needless to say, he understood. Although the case was solved, that unlucky barbarian merchant lost his 3,000 strings of coins. Why? Just because he did not follow the rules of the Tang dynasty and went to a post house or a hotel specially designed for foreigners. Moreover, he dared to go there and report it to the government. Wasn't he courting death? After 10 beatings, the money and valuables found on the procuress body and that flowery girl's body could be considered as his compensation. Only then did the bearded man suck in a breath of cold air and limp away. At this time, Zhang Feng poked his head into the hall. Your Excellency, I have something to do. Zhang Feng stopped Nyo Weili, who was about to leave. Nyo Weili frowned. If you have any grievances, you can sound the drum first and then report it to the Grand Master. No. I'm here to buy land. Nyo Weili waved his hand impatiently. Go to the back door. This is the place where the case is judged. Don't you know this? Niu Weili left while talking. Zhang Feng touched his nose and walked to the back door with his hands behind his back. Today, Zhang Feng got up at dawn because of this matter. He waited for 2 hours and thought it was his turn. He did not expect to meet someone who cut in line. That was why Zhang Feng had come here to ask about it. Although he was rejected, Zhang Feng didn't care. He wanted to see the change in Niu Weili's expression after hearing about 50,000 mu of land. When he arrived at the Yamen office, the head bookkeeper was flipping through a book at the entrance. He was shaking his head as he read. At first, Zhang Feng thought that he was reading something incredible, but when he saw the cover of the book, he couldn't keep his cool anymore. This guy actually read such vulgar books when he was on duty? Wasn't this 2F** King awesome? However, now that he was asking for help, Zhang Feng could only pretend that he didn't see it. Sir? What is it? The registrar didn't seem to have any intention of keeping the book. He merely covered the cover of the book and asked without even lifting his eyelids. I'm here to buy land. Buy land? Which one do you like? Pointed out to the old man here. Only then did the registrar put away the book and looked at Zhang Feng. Seeing that he was dressed well, his tone became slightly better. Zhang Feng glanced at a rough map of Chang'an City and said, Well, sir, I'm not here to buy land in Chang'an City. I'm here to buy the wilderness outside Chang'an City. Wilderness? Tell me, which one do you like? Although Chang'an City is wilderness, the emperor has basically enfeoffed the dukes in the imperial court. If you want to buy it, you can go to the duke's mansion and ask. It's more practical than me. No. I like a piece of land. I've asked before and also went there to have a look. It's a wasteland, Shao Mountain in the east of Zhongnan Mountain. You mean that piece of land? It's a bit difficult. Why don't you go and ask the county magistrate? After all, the county magistrate used to be in Lantian County. That place is beyond my jurisdiction, so I can only ask the county magistrate to come. Zhang Feng was slightly stunned. Okay, then may I ask the county magistrate now? Go to the Yamen, you ask me. How would you know that I'm not the county magistrate's son? Hey, damn you. Zhang Feng was instantly annoyed. He was about to argue with him, but the next moment he swallowed the second half of the sentence. This was the Tang dynasty. If he offended this person, he would not be able to buy land. He did not want to have his ass hurt. Zhang Feng touched his nose and left angrily. In the front hall, Niu Weili was still dealing with trivial matters. Zhang Feng waited for almost an hour before it was finally his turn. Niu Weili could not help but frown when he saw Zhang Feng again. Why is it you again? I already told you to go to the Yamen and look for the registrar if you have any problems. No, sir. It's the registrar general who asked me to come to you. Speak. What do you want to do? Buy land. Where do you want to buy? Shishan Mountain outside Chang'an City. Shishan Mountain? Niu Weili was stunned. You mean you want to buy Shishan Mountain? Yes, I want to buy Shishan Mountain. Do you know how big Shishan Mountain is? Where do you want to buy Shishan Mountain? How big is the area? 1 mu or 10 mu? This is a bit difficult. I have to report to the Ministry of Agriculture. Tell me how many mu you want first, then we'll talk about other things. Niu Weili was impatient. He wanted to get rid of Zhang Feng. He had seen idiots before, but this was the first time he met such an idiot. Although that place was in the wilderness, it was not that easy to buy it. That was a place with good feng shui. When he was in Lantian, he was thinking about that piece of land. But he did not expect to meet someone who wanted to buy that piece of land when he came to Chang'an. At this time, Zhang Feng also saw a touch of impatience in Niu Weili's eyes. He said slowly, I want to buy 50,000 mu. Chapter 485. How much did you say? Niu Weili stood up regardless of his image and stared at Zhang Feng. His voice changed. The tea that he had just drunk was still dripping down his beard. Your Excellency, you didn't hear wrong. It's 50,000 mu, the whole Shao Mountain. Are you sure you're not wrong? You want to buy the whole Shao Mountain? Yes, Your Excellency. How can I be wrong? Niu Weili was confused. He was in a state of confusion. He had seen rich people, but no matter how good this place was, what was the use of buying it all? What were you going to do with such a big piece of land? But this was other people's business. He couldn't care less. After thinking for a while, Nyo Whaley said, "If you're sure, I'll give you a document now. You know the price, right?" Zhang Feng didn't talk nonsense. He didn't want to talk nonsense. He took out 5 banknotes worth 10,000 taels of silver and put them in front of Nyo Whaley. Nyo Whaley raised his eyebrows. "Well, since you know, I won't be long-winded. I'll give you the document now." While speaking, Nyo Whaley hurriedly wrote the document. The document wasn't complicated. It only contained Zhang Feng's personal information, as well as the ownership of this land, and so on. Then, Zhang Feng signed it and stamped it with his thumbprint. Land in the Great Tang was not expensive, but this land was basically in the hands of a few people. Ordinary people would definitely not be able to afford it. Moreover, the place that Zhang Feng had chosen was located at the intersection of the Ba River and the Bai River. Although it was a good place, there were no roads and nothing. Just the money spent here was not enough to cover the cost. Therefore, very few people would pay attention to this land. So it only cost 50,000 taels of silver to buy 50,000 mu of land. If 50,000 taels of silver were in Chang'an or near the 10-mile slope, it was estimated that it was only enough to buy a few hundred mu of land. And it was the kind of remote wasteland. To the commoners, land was used to grow food. In this era, no one paid attention to certain things such as real estate and so on. However, Zhang Feng also had his eyes on this area. When the research institute was set up, as well as a series of supporting facilities, it would be a place comparable to Chang'an City. When he thought of this place being his, Zhang Feng's heart was pounding. After Nyo Whaley confirmed that Zhang Feng really wanted to buy this piece of land, he stamped his seal under the witness of the registrar. At this point, this piece of land was nominally Zhang Feng's. But just as Zhang Feng was about to leave with the document, Nyo Whaley stopped him. "Wait, I've already completed the procedures, but you have to go to the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Works to get the documents. Only then will I be able to issue you a certificate of title deed. Only then will your name and the name of the land be registered in the Ministry of Revenue." So troublesome. Zhang Feng was stunned. Didn't this mean that this was more or less enough? Why was this as troublesome as doing things on Earth in the future? However, Zhang Feng did not dare to say anything. He could only take the document and leave in silence. However, just as Zhang Feng walked out of the magistrate's office, he bumped into Li Shimin's sedan chair, who was about to go to the tavern. Who was the sedan chair bearer? He was Li Shimin's confidant. Of course, he knew Zhang Feng. And Zhang Feng also saw the effeminate Xiao Gizi at a glance. "Hey, isn't this Lao Li? Where are you going again?" Li Shimin was surprised to hear Zhang Feng's voice from inside the sedan chair. He lifted the curtain of the sedan chair and looked at the magistrate's office. He asked, "Are you here to buy land? So soon? This doesn't seem like your style. You actually left before noon?" Hearing this, Zhang Feng rolled his eyes. "Do you think that everyone is like you? This is a big deal. Of course, I have to be early." "All right, where are you going so early in the morning? Come on up, let's talk." They were at the entrance of the magistrate's office. Li Shimin was not sure if anyone knew him, so he could only ask Zhang Feng to quickly get on the sedan chair. However, Zhang Feng shook his head. "No, I'm busy. All right, I have to go to the Ministry of Works to complete the paperwork. You can go do whatever you need to do. When I'm free tomorrow, I'll treat you to a drink." "Hey, you," Li Shimin was speechless. This was the first time he had been rejected by Zhang Feng. Moreover, this was the first person who dared to do so. He was looking for Zhang Feng today. What could he do when Zhang Feng was so busy? He could only wave his hand and return to the palace. Zhang Feng was very busy. After bidding farewell to Li Shimin, he couldn't do anything about it. The neighbors of Tong Huifang who had set up a barbecue stall saw him. He had no choice but to eat a simple breakfast and lunch at the barbecue stall. Only then did he squat at the entrance of the Ministry of Works. After waiting for about 2 hours, the people from the Ministry of Works opened the door with sleepy eyes. There were dozens of people standing at the door. Basically, they were here to deal with some trivial matters. After another 2 hours, it was finally Zhang Feng's turn. When he handed over the documents from the magistrate's office, the person in charge looked at Zhang Feng in surprise. He muttered to a few other people from the Ministry of Works for a while. Then he said, "Io, this is a little difficult to deal with. How about this, you go to the Ministry of Justice and report it first." Chapter 486. Zhang Feng was speechless. For the entire day he was kicked around like a rubber ball. It was not until the sky was dark that Zhang Feng dragged his leaden legs back to the tavern. As soon as he entered the tavern, he didn't even bother to turn on the lights. He lay down on the recliner and groaned. Was he lacking in exercise? He had only walked for a day, but his legs were so *king painful that they felt like they were going to break. "Feng, what have you been doing all day?" Just as Zhang Feng was about to go wash up and sleep, the old elementary scholar groped his way into the tavern in the dark with a lantern in his hand. When he saw Zhang Feng's appearance, the old elementary scholar jumped in fright. "What's wrong with you? Hey, didn't I buy a piece of land? I'm going through the formalities." "Oh." The old scholar did not ask much. After Zhang Feng washed up, he said, "I've been looking for you the whole day. Do you know that something happened at the academy?" "What happened?" "Today, that bastard Li Gan got more than 30 people from somewhere." Zhang Feng nodded. "I know about this. I asked them to do so." The old scholar asked in surprise, "I heard from Li Gan that you set up a research institute." "Yes, I want to get them out." "But you can't do that to Old Man Hai. You didn't see what kind of people they were today. They are all stubborn disciples of Chang and City. What's the use of recruiting people like them in the academy? Isn't this just smearing my own reputation? If this gets out, I'll be laughed at." Now, the academy has just started. Everyone's eyes are on it. If something bad happens here, the academy will be burned down in an instant. Okay. Zhang Feng speechlessly interrupted the old scholar's nagging. After drinking a large bamboo tube of beer, Zhang Feng felt his soul returning to his body. Then he said slowly, "You know that I'm a lazy person. This academy was originally set up for you, so I'm not worried about leaving everything to you. Furthermore, from now on, you'll be in charge of the affairs of the academy, as well as setting the rules in all aspects. As for the other aspects, Li Gan and the others will naturally go back and teach for 2 hours every day. Well, since you've arranged everything, Old Man Hai would like to see what the Research Institute and you guys can come up with." Zhang Feng explained his thoughts to the old scholar. Only then did the old scholar leave with a sigh. Zhang Feng could finally be free. That night, Zhang Feng basically did not have a single dream. He lay on the reclining chair and fell asleep under the intimacy of mosquitoes. The next morning, Zhang Feng woke up with mosquito bites all over his face even before the sound of the rooster's hoofs could be heard. After taking a fierce bath with salt water and locust, he walked out of the house in a comfortable manner. Fengzi, what are you doing? Come and taste the chicken wings I just killed this morning. Come on, Fengzi, drink with me before you go. Fengzi, come and eat a skewer of meat. Fengzi, where are you going so early? Zhang Feng soon regained his vitality under the enthusiastic greetings of all the neighbors. With his hands behind his back, he strolled in Chang and City. Even before they left Huitongfang, their stomachs were already bulging. Today he would go to the Chang and local government again. Considering what happened yesterday, Zhang Feng learned to be smart. At dawn, he squatted at the gate of the Chang, a local government bureau, and waited for the registrar. Just when Zhang Feng was about to doze off, the registrar lazily sat on the chair with a pile of documents in his arms. He did not even look at Zhang Feng. Zhang Feng regretted it very much. If he had known it would be so complicated, he would have asked Lao Li to do it for him. But now it was already like this. If he asked Lao Li to help again, he would lose face. But when he saw the managing director slowly sipping his tea and not even looking at him, Zhang Feng wanted to beat him up. But under the deterrence of the people not fighting with officials, Zhang Feng could only admit defeat. After the registrar finished his tea, he looked at Zhang Feng. What's the matter? Sir, these are the certificates of the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Revenue. Please have a look. The registrar put his thumb in his mouth and dipped it in his saliva. Then he slowly took a look at the documents. However, the more he read, the more he sucked in a breath of cold air. Tut tut tut. These are the documents. Zhang Feng was overjoyed when he heard this. When he was about to ask when the land deed would be given to him, the registrar said something that made Zhang Feng vomit blood. But this needs the signature and seal of the county government. You can go and find Lord Nyo. F***ck your father. Damn it, isn't Lord Nyo in the local government bureau? Zhang Feng's face was about to twist. But unfortunately, Zhang Feng had to take the documents to the county government bureau to find Nyo Weili. But when he saw Nyo Weili only pointed at the door. Go, this matter needs the documents of the Sinong Temple and the Taifu Temple. How can you not get these two most important documents? How can I write the documents for you? This is against the rules. Chapter 487. Zhang Feng's face darkened completely. He rushed out of the government office with a dark face. Zhang Feng also secretly swore, Motherf ***. Once he became an official Motherf ***, he would not let any of these bastards off. Motherf ***. Wasn't it just buying a piece of land? Is it necessary? Did Lao Tzu offend you? Zhang Feng's last trace of good temper was gone. However, he couldn't put down his face, so he could only rush to the Sidong Temple with his head lowered. Hey, isn't this Fengzi? What are you doing? When Zhang Feng walked to the Sidong Temple with his head lowered, he bumped into Fang Xianling. It was an acquaintance. However, Zhang Feng was not in the mood to say anything. It was just a polite greeting. Well, I have something to do at the Sidong Temple. That's it. I'll go first. Come to my place for a drink next time. Before Fang Xianling said anything, Zhang Feng ran away. Fang Xianling touched his beard inexplicably, but he didn't care. He shook his head and left. For several days in a row, Zhang Feng was exhausted from rushing about this matter. For days, except for the Imperial Palace, he basically went to all the places he could go 8 times. Even the guards at the gate of the Sidong Temple knew Zhang Feng, but there was still no news about the title deed. Li Shimin and others also saw Zhang Feng many times these days, but every time they saw him, he only said one sentence to them. Busy. As for what he was busy with, no one knew. At this time, in the Imperial Garden, Li Shimin and others looked strange. What do you think Fengzi is doing? You've even rejected me 3 times. I don't know, but I have met him twice in Chang'an. Even this morning, I met him and asked him to go to the Sidong Temple. I don't know what he is doing. Could it be that Zhang Feng, that brat, has come up with something amazing again? Du Ruhui could not help but ask. Li Shimin stroked his beard and shook his head. I don't think that's possible. This kid isn't someone who can keep things under control. Your Majesty, could it be that this brat is doing some research? However, this old subject has noticed that his complexion has been worsening day by day for the past 2 days. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Yes, tonight, come with me to the tavern to take a look. It's been 3 days since you told me about this research institute. I want to ask what's going on, but I can't see anyone. I feel that something is wrong. Could it be that something had really happened to this kid? Or could it be that this kid was up to something big? They could not help but think of such a thing. If this was really the case, then this matter would definitely be a big deal. On the other side, Wei Shuyu and the others were sitting at a barbecue stall at the entrance of the Imperial City. They were eating barbecue while watching Zhang Feng come and go. They were very happy. They were all dumbfounded. Seeing that Li Chengqian had arrived, Cheng Chumo stepped forward and said, Brothers, do you know what Fengzi is up to? What the hell do I know? Did this kid take the wrong medicine? He doesn't even have time to greet us. It's as if his ass is on fire. I'm still puzzled. Did this kid take the wrong medicine? This is not his style at all. He goes out before dawn and only returns to the tavern when it's dark. He runs to the yamen every day. This is really King strange. Could it be that this kid is up to something big behind our backs? Hammer, what can he do? Zhang Sun and the others did not believe it. Zhang Feng was so lazy. How could he be so diligent in doing something? But this was also one of the strange things. How could it be that Zhang Feng was not up to anything? This kid was not a diligent person. If he was diligent, he would have been King rich. Why did he have to hide in the tavern every day and wait for death? While they were talking, Zhang Feng's figure appeared in their sight again. They hurriedly stopped Zhang Feng. Fengzi, come and drink a barrel of beer before you leave. Zhang Feng had just come out of the Sidong temple. He was dejected and even a little pale. But after hearing their calls, he immediately changed his clothes and put on a cheerful expression. Well, you guys drink and play first. I have something to do. I'll treat you to a drink next time. Bye. Zhang Feng could not afford to lose face. Damn it. He had been running around for days. If he still did not know that this group of bastards was up to him, then he would be a real idiot. But he was too thin-skinned. If this was known by them, wouldn't he be laughed to death? So what could Zhang Feng say? He hurriedly ran away with his head down. As soon as Zhang Feng ran away, the others were completely dumbfounded. What's going on? Ck. This is not something that Fengzi would do. Did Fengzi encounter any problems? Ck. Let's go and have a look. The few of them finally discovered something. With Zhang Feng's character, the more he said that nothing was wrong, the more it meant that there must be a big problem. But what exactly was the problem? Chapter 488. Zhang Feng was so tired that he was about to explode. If he had a machine gun, he would really want to shoot all these mother-f***ers. Who were these people? Why did it take them so long to buy a piece of land? It had been 3 days, and he hadn't even seen a hair of his mother. How could Zhang Feng not complain crazily? Zhang Feng boiled a pot full of water with the pot he used to steam wine. He sat in the wooden barrel naked and looked up at the starry sky. He let out a long sigh. Why are you sighing in the middle of the night? At this moment, Li Shimon's voice slowly sounded in the tavern. Zhang Feng lifted his heavy eyelids and glanced at Li Shimon. Sometimes, I wonder how you guys King do things on a daily basis. Why the Ck do I need to buy a piece of land for so long? I'm so ket up. The emperor doesn't look like that kind of person. Why are all the officials in Chang and city bastards? Alas, Lao Li, last time you went to set up an academy, a wine factory, and a car factory. Did you run your legs out? Facing Zhang Feng's crazy complaints, Li Shimon was also slightly stunned. But when he thought of how weird Zhang Feng had been these days, he couldn't help but ask curiously, Fengzi, logically speaking, it shouldn't take you 3 hours to buy a piece of land. Are you sure you've been busy with this these days? What else could it be? Zhang Feng rolled his eyes. King ket up. I don't even know what that Nyo guy is. Even if you don't King know how to make trouble, you don't need to make me break my legs. And you said it could be done in less than 3 hours? Look at me. I've been King busy for 3 days. Damn it. He asked me to go to the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Revenue. Ck. I can't figure out why I have to go to the Dragoner Temple? And he asked me to go to the Ministry of Agriculture. Li Shimon and the other two finally understood. Exchanging glances with Cheng Yaojin and Zhang Sun Wuji, Li Shimon's eyes couldn't help but flash a hint of coldness. They were so scared that their palms were sweating. Fortunately, because of the oil lamp, Zhang Feng didn't see Li Shimon's gaze. Zhang Feng complained while taking a bath. Li Shimon couldn't help but get angry. If Zhang Feng didn't mention it, he wouldn't have known about these things. But now that he mentioned it, the problem was really big. Let's not talk about other things first. Why did you ask a commoner to go to the Dragoner Temple to do something? Why did he go to the Ministry of Justice? Go here and go where? They were obviously trying to push the responsibility onto each other. To buy a piece of land, one only needed to find out if there was anyone who owned the land in the document. Then one could check with the registrar at the local county office. If no one owned the land, the county office would report it to the Ministry of Revenue. After confirmation, the deed would be stamped and given to the buyer. Although Zhang Feng bought a lot of land, there was no need to go through so much trouble. 3 days? Didn't they know Zhang Feng's temper? If this was enough to make him curse, what did this mean? If this happened to an ordinary commoner, wouldn't it be terrible? Li Shimin couldn't help but take a deep breath and ask, all right, Fengzi, why don't I go and help you with this matter? No, please don't. Lao Tzu doesn't believe that this matter can be solved. If it can't be solved by tomorrow, Lao Tzu will bring a cart full of firecrackers to the Ministry of Justice. Damn it, is this something a human can do? Zhang Sun Wuji's face twitched when he heard this. Why do you want to go to the Ministry of Justice? I'm going to ask them. Aren't they the ones supervising these officials? Is there any law in this place? Is there any law in the Tang dynasty? They can't even see this. Are they blind? Zhang Sun Wuji's face was burning. He hurriedly comforted him. Fengzi, stop fooling around. If you do this, you'll be charged with treason. Isn't this not worth it? If that happens, we'll have to put in a lot of effort to get you out. But Lao Tzu can't take this lying down. Zhang Feng sighed one after another. Forget it. Damn it. This is Lao Tzu's last time buying land. Damn it, this is really King troublesome. This is under the emperor's rule. Why isn't anyone doing anything about it? I don't believe that no one will do anything about it. If no one does anything about it, I'll bring Tai Nyo and the others tomorrow and set the county government on fire. Don't. Fengzi, don't be like this. Did you offend them in any way? Li Shimin seemed to have thought of something when he heard that Zhang Feng was going to set the county government on fire. He hurriedly asked, no, I gave them all my King money in advance. What's so difficult about it? I stuffed 50,000 taels of silver into that King bastard's pocket before he even signed the document. I King suspect that he's trying to embezzle Lao Tzu's money. I see. Li Shimin hurriedly comforted Zhang Feng. Chang Yaojin and Zhang Sun Wuji also realized the seriousness of the problem. The three of them took turns to counsel Zhang Feng. Zhang Feng was not very angry. It was just that the three of them had suppressed their frustrations in their hearts and were looking for an outlet to vent. In the end, Zhang Feng slapped his head and shouted excitedly, Lao Li, I finally know. Damn it, I'm missing something. What is it? I suspect that I'm missing some money? Chapter 489. Li Shimin was speechless. He thought that Zhang Feng would say something, but he didn't expect Zhang Feng to think of such a thing. What could he say? He couldn't just say, don't meddle in this matter. I just need to say a word and they'll come here, right? Could he say that? If Zhang Feng were to hear this, not to mention other things, that person, Li Shimin, really could not afford to lose face. Swish! Zhang Feng finally thought it through and stood up from the water bucket with a swoosh sound. Then, he pulled the three of them into the small tavern with his bare buttocks. Come. I was so annoyed that I made a mistake in my thinking. Now that I've figured out the problem, I'll probably get the title deed tomorrow. Take a seat first. I'll make some side dishes. Let's drink till we're drunk tonight. As he spoke, Zhang Feng put on his Han outfit and went into the kitchen. Old son, you have to give me a reasonable explanation for this matter. Seeing Zhang Feng go into the kitchen, Li Shimin roared coldly. Zhang Sun Wuji heard that and hurriedly knelt on the ground. His face was already covered in sweat. Your Majesty, it's my fault. Tomorrow morning, I'll thoroughly investigate everyone in Chang. I'm not talking about Chang. Li Shimin was really angry. If this was a small matter, it wouldn't be a big deal. But what was this? He believed that this was definitely something done by his subordinates. Zhang Sun Wuji would never do such a stupid thing. But it could also be seen from this that the backbone of the Tang dynasty, which was slowly rising, was actually crawling with vermin. What was this? This was rubbing sand in Li Shimin's eyes. How could he not be angry? And his last sentence represented his anger. But thinking of all kinds of things, Li Shimin was silent for a moment and said, just give them a warning. If it's serious, just kill them. Yes. What could Zhang Sun Wuji say? According to the current situation, he wanted to kill someone, but the emperor had spoken. What could he do? He knew what to do. If everyone was killed in one night, it would definitely cause unrest in a short period of time. Don't underestimate this thing. Although they were the lowest level officials, they were the link between the court and the people. Once this bond was broken, it would take time to reconnect. Complete the work! At this moment, Zhang Feng's voice resounded in the tavern. And the moment Zhang Feng's voice rang out, the three of them instantly regained their composure, as if the heavy killing intent just now did not exist. Zhang Feng made it very simple. A plate of fried dried fish, a plate of coleslaw, a plate of vinegar mixed with wild vegetables, and a large pot of boiled pork ribs. Although it was simple, it was still very difficult for Li Shimin and the other two to eat these dishes. Come. Stop drooling. When did you guys become so refined? Zhang Feng glanced at the three of them and continued chewing the wild vegetables. Hearing this, Li Shimin laughed at himself. Yes, this place is like my own home. I forgot. Come on, you two don't just sit there. Eat. It's rare to eat these dishes in your house, right? Li Shimin said as he picked up some wild vegetables with his chopsticks. He chewed with relish. This was the first time he had eaten wild vegetables. In an instant, the freshness of the wild vegetables made Li Shimin speechless. Fengzi, I remember that outside the city, not to mention wild vegetables, even the weeds have been gnawed by locusts. Where did you get these wild vegetables? Yes. Zhang Feng pointed to the backyard and said, Do you see those big vats? These vegetables grew by themselves on the edge of the vats. Only then did they remember that Zhang Feng had 5 big vats leaning against the wall of the courtyard. They couldn't help but feel relieved. This guy had plenty of ways to control the locusts. It was not surprising that he could protect his vegetable garden. These were probably the last wild vegetables in Chang and city. Not to mention wild vegetables. During this period of time, there was no trace of green on Li Shimin's table at all. Whenever there was a trace of green, it would be sent into his mouth immediately. One could imagine how precious this green vegetable was. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, Zhang Feng yawned. Li Shimin and the other two did not drink much because they still had things to do. Seeing Zhang Feng like this, they clasped their fists and said, Then you should rest early. We'll go back first. Okay. Take care. When my White Deer Plain Academy of Sciences is built, we'll go there for a drink. Okay. Li Shimin and the other two went out of the pub. Li Shimin's slightly hunched back was restored to its usual straight posture. The majesty of an emperor on his body once again made Zhang Sun Wuji and Cheng Yaojin not even dare to breathe loudly. Although Li Shimin did not say a word, Zhang Sun Wuji and Cheng Yaojin knew that the emperor was at his most terrifying. The two of them did not say much and silently followed Li Shimin to send him back to the palace. Zhang Sun Wuji looked at Cheng Yaojin and then looked at the crescent moon above Chang and city and said, Old hey, I'll have to trouble you tonight. Chapter 490. Cheng Yaojin didn't call for help. Instead, he intercepted a group of about 30 imperial guards at the city gate. Then he and Zhang Sun Wuji rode on horses and galloped through Chang and city. Although it was already evening, there was still an hour before the curfew. However, there were still some people who came back late in Chang and city and were hurrying on the streets. But when they heard the rumbling sound of galloping horses, they couldn't help but feel inexplicably surprised. They hurriedly got out of the way. It wasn't until this group of people left that they were shocked to find that this group of people wasn't the imperial guards of the palace. What was going on? Why did they send out the imperial guards? Did they discover the Turk spies? All the people who came back late and heard the deafening sound of the horses' hooves couldn't help but stretch their necks to find out what happened. And this group of imperial guards didn't hide too much. They just stopped at the gate of the Chang and local government. At this moment, the arrival of this pair of people directly frightened the Yamen runners who were guarding the county Yamen so much that they trembled all over. Grandfathers of the imperial guards, what brings you all here? Go. Ask your county magistrate to come out for old man. Zhang Sun Wuji said lightly in a gloomy voice. Although the 6 guards immediately knelt down when they saw the armor of the imperial guards. As long as there was something wrong with their eyes, they would definitely be able to see the 2 old men in the lead. How could the person who spoke be an ordinary official since he was able to bring the imperial guards here? They suppressed the urge to kowtow and hurried into the county government. They didn't know what this group of people was doing here, but from the sound, they knew it couldn't be anything good. Who dared to wait at the gate now? They hurriedly ran into the backyard of the county government. Lord Nyo, Lord Nyo, something happened. Lord Nyo, wake up. People from the palace are here. The shrill cries of these people instantly lit up the lights of the county government. Nyo Whaley, who was thinking about something in the study, couldn't help but frown slightly when he heard this. He opened the door and shouted, "Is the sky falling or the earth sinking? Why are you so flustered?" "My lord, someone from the palace is here. This is Chang and City. Are there fewer people in the palace?" Nyo Whaley was furious. However, the guard spoke again amidst the chatter. "The people who came this time are different. They are the Imperial Guards." "What? Imperial Guards?" Nyo Whaley was shocked when he heard this. "Where are they?" "At the entrance of the county office." "Then what are you waiting for? Invite him in." "No. The old man in the lead asked you to go out." "Go out?" The more Nyo Whaley thought about it, the more he felt that things were not so simple. However, since the Imperial Guards were dispatched, something big must have happened. He couldn't help but wave his hand and said, "Pass down the order. Tell all constables and bailiffs to return to the county within an hour." As he spoke, Nyo Whaley hurriedly walked towards the entrance of the county yamen. He didn't know who the person was and why he came here today, but after thinking about it, he realized that he hadn't been in Chang'an City for many days and hadn't done anything. Could it be that there was something important to announce? An old man? Who could it be? Nyo Whaley opened the door of the county yamen with doubts. However, when he saw Zhang Sun Wuji with a livid face and a strange old man with a curly beard who was about 50 years old, Nyo Whaley couldn't help but feel weak in the knees and hurriedly knelt on the ground. "I'm Nyo Whaley. Greetings, Lord Zhao and Lord Lu." Buzz. When Nyo Whaley's voice sounded, all the yamen runners behind Nyo Whaley, as well as the servants, suddenly felt their minds explode. Lord Zhao, Lord Lu. Who were they? They were Zhang Sun Wuji, the minister of the Ministry of Justice, and Cheng Yaojin, lunatic Cheng, who was called the god of war. Why did these two gods of plague bring people here in the middle of the night? At this moment, Zhang Sun Wuji looked at Nyo Whaley with a faint smile and said, "It's rare." The old man thought there would be blood tonight, but since you know the old man, forget it. Fu*K, Lao Tzu hasn't killed anyone for a long time, and he killed people in the yamen of Chang and City. I thought I could have a good time tonight. Who is that? Fu*King Nyo? Are you going to let us stand here? Two lords. Please, hurry up. Prepare the food and wine. Prepare the good food and wine. Nyo Whaley's voice was hoarse. He roared in a shrill and trembling voice. What did he hear? See blood? Kill? He felt dizzy. Where was this? This was under the emperor's rule. The person who could bring the imperial guards here and say such words was either following the imperial edict, or no one dared to do it. Thinking of this, Nyo Whaley was scared out of his wits. How could he dare to say anything? What could he say? Now, if he or anyone dared to fart and made these two angry, the county yamen, Nyo Whaley was soaked all over. He hurriedly led the two into the living room. By the time they entered the living room, the imperial guards had already surrounded the entire magistrate's office. Chapter 491. The living room was already filled with wine. Although fruits were scarce at this time of the year, Zhang Sun Wuji and Cheng Yaojin were surprised to see two slightly wilted fruits. There were also a few side dishes. Clearly, these were not hastily prepared. They must have been prepared beforehand. Otherwise, how could there be so many things in such a sudden manner? Even when they went to Zhang Feng's small pub, there were sometimes not so many things. It seemed that this little county magistrate was rich. Nyo Whaley seemed to have seen through their thoughts and hurriedly said, "Please forgive me. High Dukes, these things were given to my wife by the people of Lan Tian when I left. I'm not here today to ask you about this. Someone will come to you about this. You're called Nyo Whaley, right?" Zhang Sun Wuji did not stand on ceremony. He drank a mouthful of wine and finally put down the wine cup in disdain. Instead, he picked up a fruit and played with it in his hand. 5 days ago, the document for your transfer from Lantian to Chang and was signed by old man previously. You were in Lantian for a few years. Although you didn't do anything, you didn't cause any trouble either. That's why the Ministry of Justice gave you a chance. However, how many days have you been in Chang'an? The things you've done in these 3 days have made me very dissatisfied. Zhang Sun Wuji spoke very slowly as if he was talking about daily life. However, these words sounded different to Niu Weili's ears. Very dissatisfied? Where was he dissatisfied? He thought that he did nothing wrong. He wanted to wait for Zhang Sun Wuji to say something. However, after Zhang Sun Wuji finished speaking, he did not say anything. Instead, he looked at him with a faint smile. He could not help it. Niu Weili began to think hard. Think about it carefully. If you can't think of anything tomorrow, you don't have to stay in Chang'an anymore. As he spoke, Zhang Sun Wuji and Cheng Yaojin looked at him playfully and then left. After sending off the 2 gods of plague, Niu Weili collapsed on the ground in front of the yamen. At this moment, his mind was filled with Zhang Sun Wuji's last words. What on earth am I? Did something go wrong? He couldn't help but recall everything that had happened in the past 4 days. Grand Advisor, quickly bring me all the complaints from the past 4 days. Niu Weili hurriedly roared as he was carried out of the room by the servants. Coming, Lord Niu, I'm ready. At this moment, the teacher's mustache was trembling non-stop. A few of the documents in his hands fell to the ground. Thus, Niu Weili decided not to leave. He sat on the ground and started flipping through the books. Disperse, disperse. Go do whatever you need to do. What are you looking at? Get out. When the teacher saw this, he snatched the lantern from the servant girl's hand and urged the servant to leave. Only then did he lie on the ground with his butt sticking out and go through the cases of the past few days again and again with Niu Weili. He even went through the previous cases and didn't notice anything wrong. However, the more it was like this, the more Niu Weili panicked. He could not help but think of a person. A spendthrift who looked to be in his 20s. Could it be that guy? Niu Weili could not help but exclaim. The private advisor was so scared that he trembled. Lord Niu, who are you talking about? Who else? The one who bought the land. The private advisor's eyelids twitched. You mean the guy who bought 50,000 mu of land? But that's impossible. What ability does that guy have to invite the 2 Grand Dukes? Private advisor Ma, you've been in Chang'an for a long time. Quickly tell me the details of this guy. Also, I asked you to investigate the people who have contact with this guy. What did you find? If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Advisor Ma slapped his forehead and said, You think too much. This guy doesn't have any background. He just opened a small tavern in Tonghui Lane. I don't see him doing business all day long. He's just a freeloader. However, the people in Tonghui Lane seem to have a good relationship with him. I heard that the 4 great devils in the city call him brother. Moreover, the 4 great devils once gave him a tiger as a gift. What? A tiger? The 4 great devils? Niu Weili's head was completely dizzy. Before coming to Chang'an, he had spent a lot of money to listen to the officials and their sons in Chang'an City, especially the son of Zhang Sun Wuji, the minister of the Ministry of Justice, and the son of the fearless Cheng Yaojin. He even inquired about the sons of all the Grand Dukes in Chang'an City. This inquiry was incredible. The 4 great devils in Chang'an City were the sons of the 4 Grand Dukes. At this time, when he suddenly heard this news, Niu Weili almost fainted. Why didn't you tell me earlier that the guy could call the 4 great devils and the sons of the 4 Grand Dukes brothers? You should have told me earlier. If you had told me earlier, would Lao Tzu do that? Niu Weili cried. She sat on the ground as tears streamed down her face. It was said that one could find 1 or 2 people in Chang'an City that he couldn't afford to offend. He didn't believe it before, but now. Chapter 492. He had thought that this guy was just a rich young master who had nowhere to spend his money. But now it turned out that he had stepped on a nail. Advisor Ma, tell me about this guy named Zhang Feng. What's his background? Advisor Ma was not a member of the bureau, so there were some things he didn't know. And this matter was too big, so Niu Weili didn't intend to tell him. He just said in a low voice, "Advisor Ma, I can only tell you that these two gentlemen came here tonight because of this guy. You'd better think about it yourself." "What?" Advisor Ma's face suddenly changed. He had never thought that this somewhat simple-minded Zhang Feng would be able to welcome two Grand Dukes. What was going on? Who was he? Don't make wild guesses. This matter is not something we can afford to provoke. Now, what we can do is to settle this matter as soon as possible. And then, let's just wait for the heavens to decide. Niu Weili felt desperate. He had thought that coming to Chang'an meant that he was one step closer to the top, but indeed he was one step closer. But he was one step closer to death. On the other side, after leaving the Chang and local government, Chang Yaojin and Zhangsun Wuji went to the agriculture temple and other places one after another. They even summoned all the officials of the Ministry of Justice back to the Ministry of Justice. As long as they were involved in this matter, they were first beaten 50 times and then thrown into prison by the furious Zhangsun Wuji. He couldn't afford to lose face like this, and it was in front of the emperor and Zhang Feng. If brother Zhang Feng were to enter the imperial court in the future, where would he put his old face? How could he show his face? It was all because of these little bastards. If they hadn't been fooling around all day, would such a thing have happened? Who knew how many things these fellows had eaten in the fields behind them? That night, under the furious Zhangsun Wuji's order, the Ministry of Justice was reshuffled. Anyone who was found to be slacking would be beaten and driven out of the Ministry of Justice. If you were a little greedy, it would be fine. If you were a little lustful, it would be fine. If you King don't do anything, then it'll be bad. It wasn't just the Ministry of Justice, the Agriculture Temple, the Ministry of Agriculture, and many other places were also reshuffled. Zhangsun Wuji knocked on the doors of all the officials' houses one by one. And it was also on this night. These people all knew one thing. Because of their shirking and incompetence, the emperor was extremely angry. When Fang Xianling found out about this, his eyes turned red with anxiety. He rushed to the Ministry of Agriculture with Fang Yai. In the Ministry of Agriculture's courtyard, Zhangsun Wuji and Cheng Yaojin didn't say anything. They ignored everyone in the Ministry of Agriculture and just sat in the courtyard, waiting for Fang Xianling. "What's going on here? Old Fang, who should we start from? You know that he's been running around for the past 2 days because of that incident, but just now, His Majesty and we heard with our own ears that he's been delayed for 3 days because of that incident. He's been running around in these few places for 3 days. What's wrong with that? He's being played like a monkey." Fang Xuanling's expression suddenly changed when he heard that. "You bunch of good-for-nothings. The two of you, what should we do? Let's do it this way. If we need to kill them, then kill them. This old man has long wanted to teach this group of people a lesson. Damn it, they usually look so serious. If it wasn't for this matter, this old man really wouldn't have known that there were such vermin in our Ministry of Agriculture. You even angered His Majesty? Do as you see fit. Kill those who should be killed, and punish those who should be punished." When the people from the Ministry of Agriculture heard that, they completely panicked. They didn't know anything. What were they going to do in such a muddle-headed way? "Your Excellency, even if you want to beat or scold us, you should at least tell us what we did wrong." "That's right, Your Excellency. We usually do things according to the rules. Where did the problem go wrong?" Where did the problem go wrong?" Cheng Yaojin shouted angrily. "Come on, let me tell you good-for-nothings. Just 3 days ago, someone refused to buy a piece of land from the Chang and local government to the Agriculture Temple, then to the Ministry of Justice, and then to the Ministry of Agriculture. One by one, they refused to give Lao Tzu a piece of land. Let me ask you, is it very difficult to buy a piece of land? Is it very difficult? Isn't it just a piece of land? Do you have to do this? What does this mean? It means that you're shirking everything you've done. What is this? You're dragging down the Tang dynasty. Now the Tang dynasty has just improved, but look at what you've done. Is this something that humans can do? If it wasn't for His Highness the Crown Prince who saw it and reported it to His Majesty, and if it weren't for us old fellows pleading for leniency, I'm telling you, we wouldn't be the only ones here tonight. At this time, The people of the Ministry of Agriculture finally figured out the truth of the matter. And the old man among them couldn't help but be angry. Damn it! Which bastard did this? My 3 Grand Dukes. Such a person should have his 9 familial exterminated. I beg you to kill his 9 familial exterminations. They knew very well what was going on in the palace now. But now Chang Yaojin was dragging down the progress of the Tang dynasty. If this was confirmed, it would really be a capital offense. Even if His Majesty didn't kill them, once the notice was posted, they would be drowned by the people's saliva. But at this time, they couldn't help but think of a question. Who on earth had the ability to let His Majesty know about this? Who on earth was the person who bought the land? Chapter 493. The next morning, it was still dark outside. At the entrance of the small tavern, Nyo Weili had been waiting at the entrance for a long time. He was scared. Because of what happened last night, he didn't sleep at all. He didn't dare to sleep. Last night in the Imperial City, he heard that all the people involved in this incident were in trouble. He didn't know the reason. He was only warned by the 2 state dukes. But his intuition told him that this incident must have something to do with Zhang Feng. Before the rooster crowed, Nyo Weili came. But as the sky in the east became brighter, the door still didn't show any signs of opening. Nyo Weili sat on the stone steps under the crooked tree and waited. But as he waited, a problem arose. Although he was wearing ordinary clothes at this time, and although he had only been in Chang'an City for a few days, there were still people who knew him and greeted him when they saw him. Yo! Lord Nyo, you're here to drink so early? This brat probably wouldn't wake up until noon. You'd better go back and come back later. Haha, it's okay, it's okay. I'll just wait here. What could Nyo Weili say? He could only put on a smile and make a fist salute to send the person away. But this seemed to be a starting point. As that person left, more and more people came to know that he was here. After all, a county magistrate squatting at the entrance of a tavern early in the morning. How could this not arouse the curiosity of the people? Lord Nyo, what's wrong with you? Lord Nyo, I have some beer at home. If you like it, I can drink while waiting. Lord Nyo. More and more people came. The whispers grew louder and louder. But when the scorching sun was about to hit his head, the door of Zhang Feng's room slowly opened. As soon as the door opened, Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. At the entrance of the tavern, a skinny middle-aged man in a black robe was squatting in the shade of the tavern's entrance, taking a nap. On the main road, all the newcomers who passed by were pointing at this person and gossiping. Zhang Feng couldn't help but feel annoyed. Did he meet a drunkard this early in the morning? Who is this? It's early in the morning and we're not open for business today. Come early tomorrow. As he spoke, he was about to lock the door. However, when the man heard Zhang Feng's voice, he was so moved that he almost cried. He hastily turned around, grabbed Zhang Feng's hand, and shouted, "Prince Zhang, don't be impatient. Don't be impatient." Zhang Feng instinctively retracted his hand. Just as he was about to get angry, he heard a familiar voice and couldn't help but glance at it in surprise. With this glance, he couldn't help but be stunned. Damn! I was wondering who it was. Isn't this Lord Nyo? What are you doing here so early in the morning? Zhang Feng instinctively resisted Nyo Weili. But when Nyo Weili saw that Zhang Feng finally recognized him, he hurriedly pulled out a smile that was uglier than crying. Young Master Zhang, where are you going? Why don't I go down and give you a sedan chair? Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. He thought that he was dreaming. However, the scorching sun and that familiar voice told him that this was real. I say, Lord Nyo, what's wrong with you? If you think that the money I gave you isn't enough, you can just say it. You don't have to play with people like this, right? Zhang Feng was really angry. This was really F***king infuriating. If you want money, just say it. Do you have to play with people like this? When Nyo Weili heard Zhang Feng's words, his entire face turned green. No, no, no. Prince Zhang, we had some misunderstandings before. I thought about it all last night and realized that these things aren't troublesome at all. The main thing is that I just got here and don't know a lot of things. That's why Prince Zhang has to run around for this matter. Fine, fine, fine. What do you mean? Zhang Feng was completely dumbfounded. Why was this different from what he saw yesterday? And this guy actually said that he didn't know anything because he just got here? What kind of **t logic was this? It didn't **king make sense. Lord Nyo, just say it. Don't make fun of me here. Although I'm a little young, I'm not a fool. If you have something to say, just say it. Okay? Well, if that's the case, I'll say it. Nyo Weili rubbed his hands. Then, as if he had been granted amnesty, he said, well, I'll have to trouble Prince Zhang to come to the county office. I'll definitely get this done within an hour today. Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. Are you sure you're not playing with me? Zhang Feng was really scared of being played. But at this moment, even if Nyo Weili lent him a lot of courage, he wouldn't dare to mess around. Maybe right now, there were people from the Ministry of Justice among the crowd at the closed door, looking at him. Even if he ate a bear's heart and leopard's guts, he wouldn't dare to mess around. Seeing that Zhang Feng agreed, Nyo Weili waved his hand and shouted, Advisor Ma, quickly bring the sedan chair here. What are you waiting for? Prince Zhang, I've prepared a sedan chair for you. I hope Prince Zhang can do me the honor? Chapter 494. Zhang Feng was completely dumbfounded. He seriously suspected that this was a dream. Since he had just woken up, he still felt a little uncomfortable. He leaned on the soft couch and fell asleep. He wanted to make sure that this was not a dream. How could it make a person change overnight? If this was not a dream, then what was it? He would never believe that Nyo Weili would be so kind as to not only invite him, but also prepare a sedan chair for him. After Zhang Feng entered the sedan chair, the most shocked people were none other than the neighbors of Tonghui Lane. Everyone thought that Zhang Feng was sitting in the sedan chair, but the new county magistrate actually followed the sedan chair. What the hell is going on? Who knows? I don't know, but Fengzi seems to be very busy these days. He didn't even open his shop. He went out at dawn and came back when it was dark. I don't know what he's doing. Isn't that right? I've never seen this brat so diligent before. Will something happen to Fengzi? No, we have to go to the county government. If something happens, we have to be witnesses. Yes. Nothing can happen to Fengzi. He's such a good person. He must be wronged. Let's go. Basically, after the neighbors of Tonghui Lane found out about this matter, they all abandoned their food and ran away as well. They were not worried about losing their things. In Tonghui Lane, who dared to steal? My saliva will drown you. As Nyo Weili and the others walked slowly to the county government, more and more people followed them. No one knew what was going on. Why were there so many people following them? Involuntarily, everyone followed the crowd and slowly flocked to the Chong and local government. Even if Nyo Weili and Advisor Ma saw it, what could they say? If they dared to say a word, they might not even be able to sleep tonight. Therefore, even if someone quietly asked who was in the sedan chair, they did not dare to say. Fortunately, the road to the yamen wasn't too far. Outside the palanquin, Nyo Weili could faintly hear Zhang Feng's snoring. When they arrived at the county yamen, Nyo Weili still did not see Zhang Feng wake up. He could not help but wave his hand and have the people carry the palanquin into the backyard, blocking all the commoners at the front door. Nyo Weili was left alone to wait for Zhang Feng to wake up. Advisor Ma, on the other hand, hurriedly left with his men to deal with the matter of the title deed. Actually, Zhang Feng's matter wasn't troublesome. It was just that Nyo Weili saw how generous Zhang Feng was, so he had some ideas. But who would have thought that not only did he fail to take advantage of this good thing, he actually offended someone he couldn't afford to offend. Now, looking at Zhang Feng's sedan, he wanted to slap himself a few times. After some time, Zhang Feng finally woke up. But when he woke up, Zhang Feng was worried again. This dream was really *King long. But why did the palanquin stop? And why wasn't there any sound from outside? The moment he lifted the curtain, he was once again shocked by the scene in front of him. He saw that this seemed to be the backyard of the county yamen. But in the backyard, in front of his palanquin, there was a table full of wine and dishes. Next to this table, there was another table with a stack of documents and a seal on it. Seeing that Zhang Feng had woken up, Nyo Weili hurriedly asked the servants to serve Zhang Feng a cup of tea that had already cooled down. Prince Zhang, please take a seat. These are all dishes prepared by a chef I found in Chong and city through my connections. I heard that the dishes on this table were all passed down to him by an expert. And these drinks were only recently introduced to Chong and city. I guess Prince Zhang hasn't tasted them yet, right? Zhang Feng looked at the familiar but somewhat inferior dishes on the table and was dumbfounded. Wasn't this the cooking skill he passed down to Zhou Dafu? This? But Zhang Feng didn't know what was going on. Although he wanted to get the title deed and develop his great business in Chong and city, he wasn't a fool. Lord Niu, let's forget about this. Let's just do what we need to do. After all, we're all very busy. Busy your ass. My life is now in your hands. Niu Weili complained incessantly in his heart. But he didn't dare to say anything. Well, since Prince Zhang still has things to do, then let's do it directly. Registrar, hurry up and bring all the documents here. Prince Zhang, please sit down. Niu Weili invited Zhang Feng to sit at the desk. Then he carefully sat beside Zhang Feng and handed the documents to Zhang Feng. Prince Zhang, this is the document from the Ministry of Justice. You just need to sign here, and this land will be yours. And this document is from the Ministry of Works. It's mainly to register these lands, in case you encounter such a troublesome thing next time. And this is the certificate that I want to keep in the county registrar. It needs to be signed by Prince Zhang himself. After seeing the deep surprise in Zhang Feng's eyes, Niu Weili then picked up another document and said, Of course, this is prepared for you. You only need to sign the document for that piece of land. Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. According to Niu Weili's request, he signed his name on each document. But in his mind, a sentence kept flashing. This can't be King real. I must be dreaming. Chapter 495. Zhang Feng dizzily touched the title deed and sent him out of the magistrate's office under the gaze of Niu Weili and the others. He looked at the gate of the magistrate's office and then looked at the sun in the sky. Zhang Feng still felt that it was so unreal. Things that couldn't be done in 3 days were all done in less than an hour? Was this Niu Weili's conscience awakening? Or was Lao Tzu dreaming? What the hell? Wasn't this a green light all the way? He closed the gate, got on the sedan chair, got off the sedan chair, and then sat down to sign the papers? Wasn't this too smooth? Along the way, Zhang Feng was thinking hard about this matter. But no matter how he thought about it, it still felt strange. Could it be because Niu Weili knows Lao Li? After seeing Lao Li go to find me yesterday, did he awaken his conscience? Yes. Damn it. That's it. Damn it. How could I forget about Lao Li? Zhang Feng patted his head and blamed this matter on Li Shimin. Only now did Zhang Feng completely let go of the doubts in his heart. However, if it was Lao Li, it definitely wouldn't be like this. This made Zhang Feng's desire to be an official even stronger. But now, although there were still 3 years, but in these 3 years, Zhang Feng was confident that with these 50,000 mu of land, his name would resound throughout the Tang dynasty. Fengzi, what's wrong with you? Why did you go out so early in the morning? Do you want us to accompany you to the magistrate's office? Unknowingly, Zhang Feng returned to the gate and closed it. At the gate, Li Chengqian and the others had been waiting for a long time. Even Cheng Chumo poked through the paper window and looked inside. Seeing Zhang Feng come back to his senses, Li Chengqian and the others asked with a worried face, Are you okay? I just heard that you were invited by the county magistrate. What happened? It's nothing. Isn't it just because your brother Feng is handsome and wants to treat me to a drink? Everyone could not help but roll their eyes. How could they not know what happened last night? That's enough. The bulls in Chong and city have been blown to death by you. Let's go. Open the door quickly. It's such a hot day. Don't you feel embarrassed to let us stand at the door like idiots? They entered the room and found a place to sit down. He picked up a bamboo barrel of beer from the large vat in the backyard and drank to his heart's content. As they drank, Li Chengqian asked, Fengzi, have you bought your land yet? I haven't seen you for the past few days. Do you need that long to buy land? Pa! Zhang Feng didn't waste his breath. He slammed the title deed on the table. Look, 50,000 mu of land is now Zhangfeng's. Pooh! They couldn't help but spit out the wine in their mouths. How much? How many mu did you say? They thought Zhangfeng was buying the land in Chang'an City. So, when they heard Zhangfeng say 50,000 mu, even the carefree Changchumo couldn't help but praise him. Fengzi, did you buy the whole of Chang'an City? 50,000 mu. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to change your career and raise pigs? Get lost. I'll let you be the first one to run around the place. Zhangfeng was listening well at first, but when Changchumo spoke, the whole atmosphere changed. He wanted to show off, but this grandson of his had completely ruined it. However, these guys didn't give up and continued to ask, Fengzi, tell me, where did you buy? Did you really buy the whole of Chang'an City? Zhangfeng was speechless. Do you think I, Zhangfeng, have so much money? Can I afford to buy Chang'an City? Besides, take your brains and think about it. Can you buy it? Li Changqian couldn't help but be more puzzled. If you didn't buy Chang'an City, then where did you buy? Why did you spend so much time? How could Zhangfeng tell him such a shameful thing? He rolled his eyes and said, Speaking of that place, it's a good place, located between Beiba River and Chan River. Zhongnan Mountain is to the south, Shao Mountain is to the east, and Ba River is to the north. It's the first barrier of Chang'an City. Such a good place. I had to check it out first before buying it. What? You mean Shao Mountain? Then why did you buy Thatched Beach? Tell me honestly, how much money did you spend? This Zhangfeng smiled and said, Not much, just 50,000. 50,000. Chang Chumo and the others' eyes almost popped out. They couldn't help but silently put down their beers, shook their heads and sighed. This sigh made Zhangfeng a little confused. Why? Do you think I've made a fortune? Let me tell you, this time it has nothing to do with you. No! Li Chengqian solemnly patted Zhangfeng's shoulder and said, You're going to beg for food. We're just embarrassed to drink your beer for free. Do you know that if you buy that place, it's equivalent to smashing it in your hands? Tell me, how can we take advantage of you? Chapter 496. That's right, Fengzi. If that place was a good place, it would have been bought by those shrewd businessmen long ago. That place was once washed out by the mud from the Ba and Chan rivers after a flood. Although that place looks good, it can't even grow crops. Although it looks like mud, when you use a hoe, it will turn into stones. If you have that money, why don't you use it to buy a few houses in Chang'an or a few shops and expand your little tavern? Do you have to throw money into the water like that? The few of them spoke one after another, making Zhangfeng dumbfounded. Isn't it just buying a piece of land? Do you have to be like this? Besides, who said that Lao Tzu bought land to grow crops? Do I, Zhangfeng, look like someone who grows crops? No, what's wrong with all of you? Didn't I just buy a piece of land? Do you have to put on such a sad face? Isn't it just 50,000 taels of silver? With our Zhangfeng's ability, this money is gone. Isn't it just a matter of earning it back with a meal? The few of them pursed their lips. They automatically filtered out Zhangfeng's words. With his character, even if he really suffered a loss, how could he say it out loud? This guy must be puffing himself up at his own cost. Li Chengqian couldn't stand it anymore. He stood up and patted Zhangfeng, saying, Fengzi, although this 50,000 taels of silver is a small matter, it's really useless to buy a piece of land. It's fine. This money is your father's. Zhangfeng's words directly choked Li Chengqian to death. Who was his father? That's the current emperor. Would his imperial father blindly use the money to do such a ridiculous thing? No. Hearing this, Li Chengqian asked in surprise, Fengzi, are you sure that this 50,000 taels of silver was taken by my father? Otherwise, your father is really a wily old fox. His ability to not act without seeing the hair is really good. Then why are you buying this piece of land? With Li Chengqian asking like this, everyone finally relaxed. If it was the emperor who paid for this, then there must be a way. But this time, the emperor didn't even tell anyone. What did this mean? This meant that Zhangfeng was up to something big this time. under their expectant gazes. Zhang Feng said slowly, I didn't buy this land for farming. Even if I want to farm, I'll leave it for you guys to farm in the future. Do you still remember what I said before? I'll let you guys learn real skills. When they heard this, their eyes instantly turned red. However, Zhang Feng waved his hand, indicating for everyone to remain silent. He then continued, I said before that I will train you to become the people you want to be. Iron Bull, do you still remember the heavy armor I mentioned before? And the unbreakable shield, right? I remember, but as long as you remember, Zhang Feng interrupted him. He said again, I remember that you want to learn real mathematics as well as physics after mathematics, right? I still remember that I told you about the strange scriptures, right? Zhang Feng finally looked at Li Chengqian and asked. At this moment, everyone's eyes were burning with passion. At this moment, a few people also stood up excitedly and surrounded Zhang Feng. It was unknown if Zhang Feng was talking to himself or to them. His gaze went past them and looked at the street. He said in a low voice, In this world, who doesn't have a dream? Everyone has a dream. It's the same for me. You all think that I've always been sloppy. Indeed, I used to want to eat and wait for death to be a salted fish. Don't ask me what a salted fish is. I can only say that after I met you, you all changed and so did I. Slowly, I began to realize that there was the unfathomable Lao Li, the cunning Lao Sun, the honest and violent Lao Chun, the loyal Lao Wei, Lao Fong and Lao Du. After that, I met the stubborn people of Chang'an City. We were all changing, weren't we? You were all subtly influenced by me. At first, I was afraid of interacting with anyone in Chang'an City. Later, I slowly discovered the frankness of Guzi, Zhu Zi, and the others, as well as the concern and frankness of Lao He, Lao Xiaocai, Zhu Zi's father, and other neighbors. At that time, I suddenly realized that I was not alone. I still had brothers, friends, and family, and the neighbors on the whole street. Zhang Feng spoke very slowly. At this time, the few people in the tavern looked at Zhang Feng with flickering eyes and fell silent. Zhang Feng took a sip of wine and said again, In the past, I thought that the world had nothing to do with me. If I went to the imperial court with my ability, Zhang Feng, wouldn't have to worry about my name not being recorded in history. However, in the end, after the college was established, I suddenly realized that I still had nothing. All of you were very busy, but I still had nothing to do. From that day onward, I suddenly thought of something. If I want to leave my name in history, I don't just have to do it in the imperial court. I have to use everything that can benefit the country and the people. I have to use it on the people. Only then can I leave my name in history. Chapter 497. Feng Zi, good brother, if you have something to say, just say it. You still have us. Yes. You once told us that if we want to surpass the glory of our parents, we have to be brave enough to walk out of their shadow. It's because of your words that we follow you wholeheartedly. If you have something to say, don't hold it in. Just say it. If we're brothers, we'll carry it together. Feng Zi. Feng Zi. If Li Chengqian and the others couldn't tell what was going on, they would be fools. At this moment, Zhang Feng was going to teach them real skills. Wasn't this what they had been dreaming of? But why did they feel so bitter in their hearts right now? And uncomfortable? Why wasn't there a trace of excitement? No. Before Zhang Feng said those words, they were very excited to learn Zhang Feng's real skills. But after Zhang Feng said those words, they felt a kind of loneliness from Zhang Feng's calm words. Zhang Feng waved his hand. Okay, you guys are putting a lot of pressure on me. Okay? Isn't this something to be happy about? I finally walked out of the stubbornness in my heart. Isn't that something to be happy about? Feng Zi. Li Chengqian patted Zhang Feng heavily, but in the end, he choked with sobs. Okay, why are you crying as a man? I bought this place because it's far away from Chang'an City. It's far away from the hustle and bustle of Chang'an City. In this way, no one will be able to affect my research. Feng Zi, you're saying that you bought this place to set up that research institute? Li Chengqian asked in shock. Zhang Feng nodded. That's right, but also wrong. From now on, this place really belongs to me, Zhang Feng. but it also belongs to you guys. Here, I can do some research in peace. Tai Nyo, do you still remember the tricycle from before? How could Chang Chumo not remember? Yes, I do. Do you want to study that thing? Zhang Feng nodded and shook his head. That's right, that's not right either. Do you still remember this thing and the metal ship I made before? They looked at each other in surprise. The iron boat was listed as the top secret of the palace. However, they still remembered that this thing came from Zhang Feng. Iron boat, iron carriage. Could there be a connection between these two? Suddenly, they seemed to have thought of something. Feng Zi, do you mean to say that you purposely made those iron boats and iron carriages? Is this the same method used to subdue Tubo? They couldn't help but think of a terrifying thing, and that was Zhang Feng's brain. This guy was a freak. Every time something happened, it would create a strange connection with the subsequent events. This time, when Zhang Feng said this, they suddenly thought of a terrifying thing. However, they were unable to connect that to anything that had happened before. The only thing that was connected was water transportation. Zhang Feng nodded again, then shook his head. Have you ever seen a ship that travels millions of li in a day, and it doesn't need people to row it? Have you ever seen a carriage that can travel thousands of li in a day and never get tired without cows and horses? Have you ever seen yourself wearing that invulnerable armor and entering a foreign land on the other side of the ocean? Boom! Li Changqian and others were completely shocked. What was Zhang Feng talking about? A ship that can travel millions of li in a day, and it doesn't need people to row it? How could it be possible? And this carriage is tireless and never stops. How could it be possible? Even if it's a water wheel, it's impossible for it to never stop, right? And the other side of the ocean. This was the second time that Zhang Feng had mentioned this place. Was there really such a place? If so, and if it was really possible, what would happen if they didn't rely on the glory of their fathers and used their own ability to list the barbarian land that Zhang Feng once mentioned as the territory of the Tang dynasty? Involuntarily, the chests of the 5 teenagers in the tavern were violently heaving up and down. The eyes of the cynical Chang Chumo, Zhang Sunchong, and Wei Shuyu were flashing with a burning light. They couldn't wait to take the ship that can travel millions of li in a day and go to that distant place. Dugo was very silent. However, from his tightly clenched fists, it could be seen that his heart was not calm at all. And Zhang Feng looked at their faces one by one. What was this? This was a dream. He once had a dream, but in the end, the dream was shattered into pieces. And in their eyes, wasn't it the same? Okay, boys, are you willing to be the one who can make your fathers look at you in a new light, and even throw them 8 streets away? Are you willing to study these strange things with me, and then show them to your fathers, and let him feel that you've grown up and are no longer the people who only need to eat and wait for death? Are you willing to fulfill your dreams with me? After Zhang Feng finished speaking, he stood up and placed his hand in front of Li Changqian, asking, Li Changqian, are you willing? I'm willing. Chang Chumo and the others also stood up and slapped Zhang Feng's neck, shouting, Damn, good brother, I'm willing. Good brother. Ha ha ha. Even if I have to go through a mountain of blades and a sea of flames, I, Chun Tinyu, will let everyone know that their grandfather Chun is not only a demon king, but also a demon king that they will never forget. Ha ha ha, you're just bragging. If you have the ability, then try saying these words in front of your father. Ha ha ha. The few of them laughed and enjoyed together. For the same dream, Zhang Feng patted their shoulders. The few of them almost pinched Zhang Feng to the point of fainting. With great difficulty, he crawled out from under their arms, and Li Changqian once again grabbed his shoulders, saying, Fengzi, just say it. What should we do next? We'll listen to you. Are you sure? Hearing this, the few of them couldn't help but be stunned. At this moment, the expression on Zhang Feng's face made them panic involuntarily. Chapter 498. Fengzi, just say it. What exactly do you want to do? You're really asking for a beating right now, you know that? Chang Chumo and the rest instantly woke up from their excitement when they saw Zhang Feng's sneaky smile. This guy was going to cause trouble again. When they thought of what they had said before, that they would go through water and tread on fire, they wished they could take those words back. But it was too late now. Zhang Feng looked at their expressions and smiled again. Actually, it's nothing much. It's just that you all know that this institute has just been set up. It's impossible for me to give up on this. I heard that you all recruited more than 30 people in one night. I'll leave these people to you, but you only have 2 hours a day to teach them. After that, you'll basically stay in this research institute for the rest of your time. You're saying that we can also teach people? To be teachers? Chang Chumo and the rest pointed at themselves in disbelief. Zhang Feng shook his head. Do you think you're worthy? No. Chang Chumo shook his head. People should know their own limits. They knew what abilities they had. If they were asked to teach these people how to eat meat, drink wine, go to the brothel and fight, there was nothing to say. But if they were really asked to teach these people how to eat meat, drink wine, go to the brothel and fight, there was nothing to say. Then forget it. Not to mention anything else. Yuchi Baolin and Yuchi Baochi were smarter than him. They were also veterans. If they were asked to teach them, what was that? They were completely looking for trouble. Chang Chumo could not help but ask curiously. Then tell me you want us to teach people and now you're saying this. What exactly are you asking us to teach? You're not going to teach them how to become stubborn, right? Don't worry about this. There's no need to teach them. They're all more open than us. When Zhang Feng heard this, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. These are the people you found for me? Chang Chumo's face stiffened. He shrunk his neck and said, well, didn't Li Gan's father ask us to look for them? We only know this group of people in Chang'an City. How are we supposed to find them in one night? We even went straight to his house and kidnapped him. When Zhang Feng heard this, he instantly had the urge to beat someone up. What the F***ck? What the hell is going on here? But now, Zhang Feng could only curse in his heart. That's enough. From now on, don't bring such people into the academy. After all, the academy might be divided into 2 courtyards in the future. Li Chengqian and the others had wanted to see Zhang Feng make a fool of himself. But when they heard Zhang Feng's words, their expressions couldn't help but become sluggish. Didn't you say that you don't want this academy anymore? Zhang Feng glanced at Li Chengqian. Who told you that we don't want this academy anymore? Do you think that Lao Tzu worked so hard to get it for fun? Let me tell you, Chang'an University will definitely be an important place for academic research in the future. Although the research institute is in Shao Mountain, that place is also where we conduct experiments. Do you understand now? These 2 academies can be said to be a place for academic research and to discover talents, while the other is a place for true learning of skills. To put it bluntly, this is a technical school. This is a place for true learning of skills. I named it White Deer College. Zhang Feng had thought it through very clearly. There was a long way to go. If he wanted to walk a different path from others, then he had to have his own characteristics. As for what characteristics he had to have, it had to be something professional. Take these guys for example. What if he asked Du Dabing to learn from Chen Tinyu? Forget it. In less than 3 days, this guy would definitely quit. Everyone had their own strengths. What Zhang Feng wanted to do was to try his best to make use of these people's strengths. That was all. However, as soon as the words technical school came out, Chang Chumo and the others were instantly dumbfounded. Just as they were about to ask, Zhang Feng waved his hand. The so-called technical school is actually my academy. It includes winemaking, business, and even some other things. I once remembered a saying, with a skill in hand, you can travel thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. Just like a carpenter, as long as you know how to do carpentry, you will starve to death. No! Now that the economy of the Tang dynasty has developed, what we lack now is talents in this area. No matter how good our current emperor is at scheming, if there is no one under him, he will still be doomed. That's not right, Fengzi. What I know now is that ever since the imperial examination system was introduced, everyone has set the college entrance examination as their goal. But if you do this, isn't this? Li Chengqian finally understood. So, the things that Zhang Feng had set up in Shao Mountain and those factories, to put it bluntly, were teaching these people how to work. If that was the case, would anyone come? Now that the academy had opened, although it was said to attract people, there were still people watching. If this matter was spread out, how many people would dare to come? Who would want to come? However, Zhang Feng said something that no one understood. Because of this, it needs me, it needs you.